Chapter 702. Dark Red Mark. Forget it. There's no point in letting my thoughts run wild now. We'll know the details once the results are out tomorrow. The next morning, Yi Wanwan and Si Han got up and finished their breakfast, then they both rushed off to work. As Si Han's health was quite stable now, he was able to go to the office. Although Yi Wanwan was still worried about him, if Si Han still didn't show his face at the office, it would cause panic considering the current situation in the Si family, so he had to show up at the office from time to time. It would be fine as long as he didn't stress himself out. During this period of time, Yi Wanwan learned quite a bit from Si Han too. It was just that she hadn't put her new knowledge to practice or gotten involved in the company's affairs on her own. This looks good. Yi Wanwan picked a dark red tie for Si Han. She had just tightened it when something came to mind, and she suddenly turned to the direction of the apartment door. Wait. Yi Wanwan thought about something. She then suddenly had her claws out, removed the tie she just fastened, and ripped open Si Han's collar from his immaculate shirt. Si Han lowered his gaze and gave her a doubtful look. Yi Wanwan commanded, "Get lower." Even though Si Han didn't know what Yi Wanwan wanted to do, he still followed her instructions and leaned over slightly. Yi Wanwan's eyes landed on Si Han's neckline. She grabbed onto his shoulders and placed her soft lips on his collarbone. Before Si Han could react, he felt a sharp pain around his collarbone. Aside from the pain, he also felt a numbing sensation. Si Han's eyes squinted dangerously, and he looked at the girl who nibbled on his collarbone all of a sudden. The girl's love bite left a small questionable pink blotch. Yi Wanwan glanced at the door again, then grinned like a little sly fox. She stared at her own work, satisfied. "All right. Perfect. Now we can leave." Yi Wanwan walked over to the door. Swish. She pulled the door open, and in the next second, there was a bang. A fluorescent figure rolled into the apartment. Gong Su stood up and patted the dust away from his body, embarrassed. He pretended to be calm and greeted her. "Ha, he, Yiji more morning." Yi Wanwan crossed her arms. She pretended to be unruffled and looked at the person who was sneaking around her door bright and early in the morning. Then she replied faintly, "Morning." Gong Su scratched his head and stammered, Heh, aren't we going to the filming site to visit Luochin? I thought I might as well just wait here for you and head over together. I just reached your door and you opened it right away." What a coincidence, really. The corners of Yi Wanwan's lips twitched when she heard that. Coincidence, my ass. I bet this fool has been squatting here all night. With that dreadful curiosity of Gong Su and his persistence on getting to the bottom of the matter, he would definitely do something like that. Gong Su spoke as his eyes kept scanning the two of them. Although they were both men, one was lazy and content while the other was rigid and quiet. They were really incompatible. But he thought about it all night and still didn't believe that his future wife's older brother was really into men, until his gaze landed on the man's neckline. An overbearing dark red mark loomed on the man's neckline, revealed what happened last night. Gong Su. Chapter 703. Do you like kids? Ouch. Gong Su bit his own sleeves with a tear-stained face. Ji, who usually looked so indifferent, stern, and hard to reason with, actually had such a passionate side to him. Why do I feel so upset about this? Yi Wanwan obviously noticed Gong Su's reaction, and seeing that she achieved her goal, she turned to Si Han. "I'll pick you up at the office tonight." Si Han. Hold on. Didn't you forget something? Yi Wanwan raised her brows. Si Han stopped in his tracks, willingly leaned over and kissed her on her lips, leaving a goodbye kiss. Gong Su, who was at the side. "Excuse me, can you guys see me? There's a big living person right here, From last night till this morning, Yi Wanwan's pacifying could be said to be done very well. She didn't overlook any areas, so this crisis had finally been resolved. On the way to the filming site, Gong Su had two big panda eyes as he said, "Yi, you're so handsome. It's not hard for you to find a pretty woman. Why do you want to be with a man?" Yi Wanwan. "I'm naturally fond of men." Yi Wanwan's reply killed the conversation instantly, and Gong Su didn't say a single word thereafter. And Yi Wanwan didn't say anything wrong. It was the truth. Yi Wanwan didn't speak any further either. With Gong Su's character, It was better to give him some time to digest the information, but if it was Luo Chun, he probably wouldn't be able to ever digest it. At night, Sun Bai Chao's private residence. As usual, Old Sun did a thorough checkup of Ce Han's condition. After the checkup was done, Yuanwan quickly stepped forward to inquire, "Old Sun, how's Agio?" Sun Bai Chao replied, "Almost the same as last time. Although the underlying illness has not been cured, it's already a miracle for his condition to remain so stable." Sun Bai Chao looked at Yuanwan and was deeply moved. "Miss Yi, I guess you invested quite a bit of effort, didn't you? With Ce Han's condition, everything would be for naught if one was slightly careless. The amount of effort she put in was unimaginable. Furthermore, she had such a great deal of pressure on her. Old Sun, you speak too highly of me. It was all thanks to your brilliant medical expertise." Yuanwan heaved a sigh of relief but still felt that Sun Bai Chao was hiding something from her. Back on the road. "Do you like kids?" Ce Han suddenly asked Yuanwan this question out of the blue. "Huh, kids?" Yuanwan was taken aback. "Do you like kids?" Ce Han repeated. Yuanwan rubbed her chin and muttered, "Why would you ask this question all of a sudden?" "Ce Han, I might not be able to have an heir." Yuanwan was stunned when she heard him. So this was why Sun Bai Chao was acting weird. It was probably because Ce Han's condition is too serious that it injured his foundation. However, what surprised her the most was how directly Ce Han told her. Yuanwan returned to her senses after some time and said in a relaxed manner, Actually, I'm just all right with kids. They can be quite troublesome. In the past, those little nieces and nephews at home were too mischievous. If they're well-behaved, sensible, obedient, and cute, it's not too bad, but most of them are little devils. It'd be worrying if we had one of those. Also, what era are we in right now? There are so many dinks out there now, and it's pretty nice to have just the two of us. So why should we have kids?" Mini Theater, Little Devil put on a little iceberg face and said expressionlessly, "Mommy, I'm well-behaved, sensible, obedient, and cute. Nameless Nya, where's your sense of shame, eh? Who gave you the guts to say these things?" Chapter 704. The world is beautiful because of you. There was a dull silence in the car. The man regained his elusive, distant, and mysterious aura once again. It was as if aside from existing on this planet, this person was completely incompatible with this place. Yuanwan wasn't sure why, but she realized that she didn't like seeing such a cold and empty expression on Ce Han's face. Yuanwan smiled and looked at him. "Don't look so glum, come on. What's the big deal? Be a little happier. There are still many beautiful things in this world." Ce Han's eyes melted into the dark night outside the car windows. "Really?" Yuanwan took out a piece of chocolate from her pocket and gently placed it into his mouth. Of course, the sweetness melted in his mouth, but her smile was sweeter than the chocolate, melting his heart. Ce Han looked down and slowly encircled her into his embrace. "Wanwan, this world isn't beautiful, but because you're here, it is." Although Ce Han didn't say the last phrase, Yuanwan roughly figured out what he meant. In her previous life, Yuanwan never really tried to get to know this man. She feared and detested his craziness and perverted desire to control. She hated that she was the one who was confined by him. That was until she slowly realized that everything he did was solely because she was the only one who existed in his world. Everything this man did was because he was too afraid of losing her. But why? She was just an ordinary person and had nothing in common with Ce Han. So where did his intense feelings towards her come from? After the turn in events regarding Gong Su's bullying incident, Emperor Sky suffered significant damages, and even when Emperor Sky kicked Wan Shanshan out, the media and netizens weren't fools. Everyone knew what they were trying to do. Those artists who were involved in the incident were affected as well, and one of the artists who suffered the greatest blow was Ling Xiaozhe. Although he explained that he had no idea Wan Shanshan tripped Luo Qin on purpose, his bossy attitude still toppled his former image, causing many fans to feel disgusted by him. The fans started to abandon him as they felt they'd been cheated and lied to. Sometimes, the entertainment industry was like that. You kept molding yourself into a kind-hearted and righteous victim, but one day, if you did one bad thing, it would cause an overwhelming disappointment. Just like Gong Su, who used to be insulted badly in the past, he simply had to do one good deed and everyone changed their opinions about him. However, at least Ling Xiao had his acting abilities to hold on to. The gossip would fade away after some time and would only affect him marginally afterward. As for Gong Su, thankfully, each time Yu Wanwan thought about Luo Chen, she felt more at ease. They were putting the finishing touches on Terrifying Dragon 2 today, so Yu Wanwan especially made a trip down to the filming site. The moment she arrived, she saw Song Jinlin throwing a fit. What's with all these flowery fists and fancy footwork? Didn't I ask you to find someone decent? Director, these people are just walk-on artists. It's already considered not bad that they know a few moves. We can't expect them to leap onto roofs and jump over walls, right? The head received Song Jinlin's stern gaze and felt guilty immediately. I'll continue looking right away. I'll continue looking. What's wrong? Zhang Ji? Yu Wanwan asked casually. Zhang Hua was the head of all the artists and was in charge of looking for walk-on artists. At this moment, he looked as if he was having a major headache. Chapter 705. Considered acquaintances for now. After Song Jinlin walked away, Zhang Hua complained helplessly, "We need a couple walk-on artists who are skilled in martial arts for this scene, and I found quite a number of them for Director Song." But he wasn't satisfied at all. These artists who play such small roles are mostly amateurs, and even if they're professionals, not many of them are trained. How am I going to find artists who have outstanding martial arts skills? Yu Wanwan burst out in laughter when she heard that. It was truly Song Jinlin's way of doing things, filming a drama series like a movie, insisting on perfection for every frame. Director Yi, I can't chat with you anymore. I gotta go find more people. Otherwise, I'm afraid we won't be able to do the finishing touches today. Sure, go on. The filming location today was close to an old, dilapidated bridge. When they arrived on site, the stage production crew was clearing up the place, but there seemed to be an issue. Xiao Chun was quarreling with someone on the bridge. Once Yi Wanwan took a closer look, she was stunned. Oh, an acquaintance? Or rather, they can be considered acquaintances for now. On the bridge, there was a man dressed in garish colors, disguised as a woman. He was lying on the floor like he didn't have any bones. Next to him was a stretcher with a person lying on it, and a sign was placed next to it. "My husband is terminally ill. Please give us some money for his medical fees, kind soul." Standing opposite was that Taoist devotee who acted ostentatiously and swindled people. All three of them were in tattered clothing, no different from beggars. "I'm sorry, I'm part of the crew, and we will be filming under the bridge, so I have to trouble all of you to move away for the time being as we can't have anyone in the vicinity. It's almost the end of the month. We have to report our performance soon and time is money, hubby. Aren't I right?" The man on the stretcher didn't even move like he could sleep till the end of time. Of these two people, one of them was clearly a man pretending to be a woman while the other one was obviously feigning sickness. Were they really counting on this to get some money? Did they think everyone else was blind? The corners of Xiao Qin's lips twitched a little. She thought they were just trying to extort some money. She didn't want to continue arguing with these people anyway, so she asked, "How much to make you guys leave?" When the cross-dresser heard that, he suddenly turned serious. "Hey miss, please show us some respect. We only accept honest income for efforts. Please don't insult our integrity." Black lines covered Xiao Qin's head. "Are you guys looking for trouble on purpose?" No. A gentleman makes money the right way. Miss, why doesn't this poor devotee read your fortune for you?" The cross-dresser stood up immediately, pointed at the devotee's nose and raged, "Stinking devotee, why don't you find somewhere else to read fortunes? Why must you steal my business? Bloody vixen, is this your home? Both of you, stop fighting. Are you guys leaving or not?" Xiao Chun was fuming as she tried to make them leave. When she saw Yi Wanwan coming over, her cheeks reddened instantly. "Yi Ji, you're here. What's going on?" Yi Wanwan took a sweeping glance at those people. Xiao Qin replied in frustration, "We have to shoot here today, so I'm clearing the area. But these people won't leave. They're nuts. Were they sent by the production team next door to cause trouble for us? Yuanwan, you're overthinking. They're not here to cause trouble. They're really nuts. Once the devotee saw Yuanwan, his eyes lit up in an instant. Famous Yi. Before he was done speaking, she immediately shot an icy glare over. The devotee shut his mouth obediently with an expression that read, I got it. I got it. Chapter 706. Very honest and legal spray of flowers, who was disguised as a woman, sized Yuanwan up and got interested as he muttered, Io, kindred spirit. Yuanwan turned to Xiao Qian and said, Xiao Chun, go busy yourself. I'll talk to these people here. Ah, how can I do that? Xiao Qin's cheeks turned redder. It's nothing. Hey, Xiao Chun, at this moment, someone called for Xiao Chun to go over. Then, all right. Sorry to trouble you. E.g., these people have nothing better to do. If they still refuse to move, I'll get security to chase them away later. As someone needed her urgently, she had no choice but to thank Yuanwan and leave. Okay. After Xiao Chen left, the three people were unmoving mountains and continued to occupy the precious feng shui ground. They didn't seem to have any intentions of moving at all. Io, security? I'm so scared. I'm not even afraid of law enforcers. Why would I be afraid of security, huh? Yuanwan laughed. Trying to earn some money? I have a job for all of you here. The crossdresser had a rice straw in his mouth. He looked icily arrogant and scoffed in disdain. TSK, what did I just hear? You want to hire us? What a big appetite. The devotee spoke in a profound manner. Ye little bro, you better speak cautiously. You can't afford any single one of us here. Yuanwan nodded. Oh, then may I know how much it will cost to hire all of you? The crossdresser spat. I've never accepted a job below the price of 100 million. The devotee sneered. Bloody lady boy, what are you bragging for? So what if it's 100 million? This poor devotee's highest record is 1 billion. After which, he touched the dust in his hands and said to Yuanwan, the three of us, including the one who's lying down, will not be less than 50 million. The corners of Yuanwan's lips twitched as she listened to their bragging. Can we bargain and make it slightly cheaper? The cross-dresser said arrogantly, I don't ever negotiate on a price. The devotee smiled. If it's for you, beauty, this poor devotee can give you a special discount of 10%. Yuanwan nodded. Oh, 100 per person. Are you guys in or not? Crossdresser. Devotee. 100. Are you insulting me? The crossdresser screamed. The devotee's expression was hard to describe. Little bro Yi, I think you might have a little misunderstanding of the word bargain. Is that a no? Forget it then. Yuanwan turned around and walked away. The moment Yuanwan turned around, the devotee moved at lightning speed and appeared in front of her. Wait, brother Yi, I'll do it. I'll do it. As long as it doesn't go against my morals, doesn't require violence and is lawful. Yuanwan chuckled. I just need an extra. You just gotta act for a couple minutes. It's very easy and this is considered acting, not using violence. It's in line with all your requirements. It's extremely honest and legal. The devotee's eyes glistened immediately and he said eagerly, Deal. When can I start work? When can I get the money? Are meals provided? Damn it. You asshole. You're playing dirty, huh? The crossdresser yelled from behind. Boss, don't listen to him. I'm cheaper than him. I only want $80. Then, at the corner, a muffled voice came from the stretcher. Boss, do you need any dead men? I can lie still an entire day for $50. Yuanwan. Before, when she accidentally witnessed that devotee beating up Yuan Shang and the others, she knew he was no ordinary person judging by his skills. Now, it seemed like he really wasn't ordinary, not the ordinary nutcase. Chapter 707. Pacifist. When Yuanwan brought the three of them over, Zhanghua hadn't found anyone suitable yet and was being rushed by Song Jinlin, who was burning with impatience. It was simply petrifying when Song Jinlin raged, so nobody dared to take on the part anymore. Zhangji, Have you found anyone? Yi Wanwan brought the three people over. Not yet. Why don't you take these three and give them a go? This guy dressed as a devotee is pretty skilled, and if you need a corpse, you can use this guy with long hair. Thank you, Director Yi, for your recommendations. I'll let them try out right away. Zhang Hua was desperate at this point, and Yi Wanwan brought these three people over at the right time. Thus, he didn't care so much and thanked her quickly. He was simply giving medicine to a dead horse. He'd just try them out first and see how it went. As for this person who could play dead, he'd just take him in as a form of giving Director Yi some respect. It didn't cost him anything anyway. Zhang Hua prioritized the other two people, and he asked them, "Have you guys acted in fights before?" At the filming site, there were all sorts of different costumes, so even though these two people were dressed weirdly, Zhang Hua didn't think much of it. The cross-dresser waved his hands, surprised. "We are pacifists. We don't ever fight." The devotee placed his palms together and performed a Taoist gesture. This poor devotee here cultivates moral character and never uses violence. Zhang Hua panicked. That won't do. You must be able to fight later. Let me brief you guys. Both of you will be at different ends. Just follow the crowd and charge towards one another, then start fighting. You must be more intense when fighting. It must look like both of you have some deep hatred for one another and are in a struggle for life and death, understand? That's too hard. Why don't we just go back to begging? Sir, why don't I read your fortune for you? Old Zhang, are you ready? Not far off, the director's assistant pressed him. All right. I'll get them in position right now. Zhang Hua replied and looked at those unreliable people helplessly. You guys forget it. Just give it a try first. After Zhang Hua instructed them worriedly, filming finally began, and he was already prepared to receive more scoldings. 3, 2, 1. Action. After filming started, dozens of masked men started fighting. There were dead bodies sprawled all over the ground, and others were simply there to fill up the spaces. Further away from the camera, there were two people who needed a close-up, so it was fairly demanding. They couldn't simply fight half-heartedly. Charge! The shouts of a group of people were accompanied by the sounds of weapons clashing. Within the crowd, the camera zoomed in on those two people leaping in the air and advancing towards each other. In the next second, there was a loud thump and the cross-dresser landed a punch on the devotee's body, letting out a horrifying sound. Swish! Both of them had their legs out at the same time and fought intensely. They were locked in battle. All the crew members were dumbfounded as they watched. They hadn't seen such professional artists for a very long time. Their fight was so realistic, and oh my god, those moves, they could feel the pain even when they were just watching. Zhang Hua's mouth was almost in the shape of an O. This is what they meant by "we don't ever fight"? Also, are they really fighting or faking it? Yi Wanwan, it's just $100. They don't have to go all out, do they? I can hear the sounds of their bones ramming against each other even from where I'm standing. Do they have some sort of deep hatred for each other or something? They still dared to tell me they would only accept jobs that pay them billions? Who gave them the guts, huh? Chapter 708. First transaction of the day at last. This scene was over. Until the director yelled cut, the two of them were still locked in battle. It could even be said that they were very dedicated to their work. Yi Wanwan wasn't sure if it was her misperception, but she felt like these two people had suppressed their desire to fight with one another for a very long time. Song Jinlin was very pleased with the results. He flashed a rare smile towards Zhang Hua and said, "Not bad. Their moves and emotions were very well executed. Where did you find these two people?" Zhang Hua smiled widely and replied, It wasn't me but Director Yi. He's remarkable. I simply mentioned it to him, and he brought these two to me. He's amazing." Song Jinlin turned to Yi Wanwan with surprise. "Sorry to trouble you, Director Yi." He had quite a good impression of Yi Bai. Although Yi Bai was young, he was very meticulous, not proud nor impatient, and the artists he brought were all very dependable as well. Of course, he wasn't going to comment on Gong Su, who was an exception. "Director Song, you're too courteous. It was just a small matter. Song Jin-lin nodded before he asked, Terrifying Dragon 2 is coming to an end soon. Do you have any plans for Luo Chen? Luo Chen had only acted in 2 drama series ever since his debut, Terrifying Dragon 1 and Terrifying Dragon 2. Terrifying Dragon 1 allowed him to rise in fame overnight, while Terrifying Dragon 2 helped him make a smooth comeback. His third show would be a crucial step to determine whether or not he could have a stable footing in this industry, so Yuanwan had to be extremely careful as well. Judging by Song Jin-lin's tone, he seemed to have some plans for Luo Chen. Hence, Yuanwan replied honestly, I have a few scripts on hand right now, but unfortunately there's nothing really suitable. Whether his next show will be a big hit or attract a large audience aren't the most important things, but the quality of his performance and the public's opinion must be good. I don't want Luo Chen to become just a popular internet celebrity. That would be such a waste of his talents. Song Jin-lin's face was filled with admiration. Luo Chen is very lucky to have a manager like you. If it was someone else, they might take the chance to fish up any assignments they can get their hands on when this series explodes in popularity, accepting hideous and lousy films and wasting the kids' talents. I've seen many artists like this. Yuanwan laughed. It's also because he's hardworking and talented, so I dared to stake everything on him. I wouldn't dare do that if it was someone else. After all, everyone needs to earn a living. Hearing that, Song Jin-lin felt Yi-bai was rather practical and smiled. How about this? For Luo Chen's next series, why don't you take it slow and wait for news from my side? I'm currently preparing a new series and the male lead is quite suitable for him. If Song Jin-lin dared to say something like this, it meant that Luo Chen had at least a 70% chance of getting it. Yi Wanwan's eyes glistened slightly, and she quickly thanked him. I shall thank Director Song on behalf of Luo Chen then. We'll definitely wait for your news. The head was very efficient in issuing their salaries. When they were done filming, the fascinating trio received their money and each of them got $100. As the devotee and crossdresser put in a lot of effort and performed exceptionally well, the head generously gave them another red packet with another $100 in it. The 3 of them held their salaries up excitedly. We made some money. Finally, our first transaction of the day. Why doesn't this poor devotee change career paths and become an actor instead? Seeing that Yuanwan was walking over, the devotee stopped her firmly and had a 180-degree change in his attitude. He became very cordial as he said, boss, I have something to discuss with you. What is it? Yuanwan stopped in her tracks and turned to the 3 people. Chapter 709. Greatest Financial Backer. Hee. It's like this. As our greatest financial backer at the moment, I think you're the most reliable. If there are any other jobs like this in the future, please contact us anytime. We'll be there. Yuanwan. I'm actually their greatest financial backer at the moment? How badly are they doing? These 2 seem to be acting in the eyes of others, but Yuanwan knew very clearly that they had really been fighting. Moreover, she had never seen those moves before. By right, with their skills, they should have a couple career options and wouldn't have to starve. But judging from what they said, it seemed like there was some weird rule about not using violence to earn money. Also, she could tell that these people were in the late stages of lazy cancer with one look. They could neither use their 4 limbs nor distinguish rice from wheat. Furthermore, each one of them was really strange and had strange thought patterns. Which normal employer would want to hire them? No wonder they could only beg, read people's fortunes, set up stalls along the street, or be laborers. Although their actions were strange, and Yuanwan still didn't know where they came from, it had nothing to do with her anyway. She just found it quite pleasing to the eye when she saw this devotee beating up Yuan Shang and the others the other day, so she simply offered them the job today. If there are any opportunities in the future, I will. All right, you guys wait here for a bit. They will be giving out packed lunches soon. It's the final shoot today, so the food should be pretty good, Yuanwan said before she promptly left, not wishing to stay there any longer. She had no idea how these people were looking at her, with eyes glistening like they just saw a mountain of gold. Late at night, big street stall. Nameless Nya had one leg up on a long stool. His expression was horribly gloomy. It's the last day of the month. The bulky man across him obediently took out the money from moving bricks. They were all $5 and $10 notes, totaling a little over $100 altogether. Spray of Flowers pushed the devotee away with his buttocks immediately and went over to take credit. Captain, I made $200 today. Oh, I can finally provide for Captain now. The second spray of flowers got closer to him. The hairs on Nameless Nye's body stood straight up and he glared at him warily. Stay away from me if you don't have a death wish. I'm a straight man. Seeing that his captain would kill him as a sacrifice to the heavens if he caused any unnecessary misunderstandings, Spray of Flowers instantly looked as though he just suffered an enormous blow and wept. Captain, do you have someone else already? Sob, sob, sob. The devotee squeezed his way through to curry favor. Move it, bloody crossdresser. Captain, this is the $200 I made. Finally, even the iceberg man took out $100 without a sound. Other than Little Sweetie, how could these three guys possibly earn money as well? Nameless Nye revealed a suspicious look. Where did the money come from? Did you rob people again? Have you guys forgotten our team's core values again? Nameless Nye snapped. The crossdresser hurriedly explained, Captain, we earned this money honestly and legally. We earned it from acting. How could these people think of being walk-on artists with their level of intelligence? Most importantly, which production crew would actually hire them? Captain, it was that famous ye chick who got us the job, the one who paid for our meal that time. Aya, we really are fated, huh? Lately, Captain had been tortured by the little devil at home till he was on edge all the time. Who would dare to offend him, huh? Famous ye. Nameless Nye finally believed them. Nameless Nye glanced at the date. It was getting closer and closer to the little devil's deadline, and it was making him worried. Any news about her? When they all heard his question, they turned to look at each other and shrunk into quails. Chapter 710. Screwed over again, the cross-dresser murmured softly like he just suffered a grievance. Great Missy seemed to have vanished from this earth. There are no leads at all, and our only clue right now is a photo from 4 years ago. We can't be sure how she looks like right now, or whether she's a man or woman. She might have even gone for a sex change. With a sea of people around us, how are we going to look for her? At this moment, the black phone clipped on Nameless Nye's waist rang all of a sudden like demonic music playing in his ear. Everyone's hairs stood on end, and they all moved back with their stools, trying their best to reduce their existence. Nameless Nye pinched his brows. Although he wasn't very willing, he didn't dare to delay and answered the call immediately. Hello? Have you found my mom? The familiar voice of a child came through the receiver. He had an immature voice, but it was icy and particularly horrifying. Nameless Nye took a deep breath. I said, can't you change your lines a little each time you call? Have you found my dad? Sure, just pretend that I didn't say anything. Uncle, you're left with half a month's time, and if you still don't have news about them by then, I can only go over to Country Z personally. Nameless Nye's scalp went numb instantly. Damn, don't do anything rash. What if something happens to you? My parents would murder me if anything happened to their precious grandson. Furthermore, this little devil tortures me till I don't even want to live anymore when he's 1,000 miles away. How am I going to live if he comes over to Country Z? Then we can only blame me for having such a useless uncle. Nameless Nye, must you hurt me like this? Nameless Nye gritted his teeth and said gloomily, do you know you're not adorable at all? Even if we find your parents, they won't want you. Uncle, you should just worry about yourself because before that happens, your daddy and mommy wouldn't want you first. Nameless Nye. Fuck. The 4 people around the table knew what was going on just by looking at Nameless Nye's expression. Captain is getting screwed over again. He knows he'll get abused each time and should just give up struggling. Why go to this extent? Nameless Nye placed his phone down and glanced at the 4 people. If we can't find her in 6 months, Little Devil will be making a trip to Country Z personally. Damn, the 4 people who had previously been gloating changed their faces instantly at the same time. Lately, things could be said to be going smoothly for you on one. She successfully accumulated enough course credits to jump a year in college. Dazzling rose rapidly under Yi Wanwan's management, and after the bullying incident, Gong Su's damaged reputation had been reversed. He was successfully molded into a frank and outspoken person with a free and easygoing personality. As for Luo Chun, the ratings for Terrifying Dragon 2 kept rising after it was broadcast. It exploded in fame, and although Luo Chun played the role of a supporting actor, his popularity crushed the main lead, Ling Xiaozhe. He got advertisements, endorsements, magazine covers, variety show appearances, and all sorts of other projects and opportunities came knocking. All these came as no surprise and were part of Yi Wanwan's plan, but helping Yi Mu Fan was still the most gratifying one. At first, she was worried he wouldn't be able to recover after his setback, but thankfully, that guy strove for himself and led the entire styling team to transform the public's impression of Dazzling's artists being manufactured on a production line. After the Prosperous Dynasty was screened, there were tons of great reviews, and the styling and designs of the costumes in the show caused quite a sensation in the fashion world. From this show alone, Yi Mu Fan won the 100 Flowers Best Costume Designer Award and over 10 other awards, becoming the greatest unexpected winner in the fashion world. He gained recognition from the chairperson of the Fashion Association, Mu Wenqing, and even got the position of vice chairperson. He was doing extremely well in the industry. Chapter 711. Why can't you play by the book? Dazzling Media, Yi Mu Fan's office. All the relevant details about our cooperation has been verified and completed. Miss Shin, do you still have any questions? Yi Mu Fan held a cigarette between his fingers as he glanced at the woman seated across from him on the sofa. The woman was dressed in a black evening gown. She looked stunning and her figure was fantastic. When she heard Yi Mu Fan's words, she stood up slowly and walked towards him. The woman stood right in front of Yi Mu Fan's desk, then lowered her body and said in the sweetest voice, "Head stylist Felix." Yi Mu Fan flicked the cigarette ashes away and looked at the other party casually. The woman leaned over on purpose to reveal the black lace bra she was wearing. "What? Is there anything else?" Yi Mu Fan feigned ignorance and asked. In the past, he was a playboy and had seen many such seduction methods. How could he not know what she was trying to do? As expected, Shin Manju took out a piece of perfumed paper from her body and passed it to him. "This is my number." Yi Mu Fan glanced at her and didn't move at all. He had already turned over a new leaf, and his career was his life right now. He would never be swayed by these nobodies. Hence, Yi Mu Fan rejected her with a straight face. "Miss Shin, I'm very sorry, but I'm not who you think I am. My career is my top priority right now." Yi Mu Fan was about to reject her but was immediately interrupted by the girl's pleas. "Please hand it to Director Yi for me, thanks." Yi Mu Fan was dumbfounded. He looked as if he had just eaten poop. Cough, cough, cough. Huh. Who did you want me to pass it to? Everyone in the industry called him by his English name and didn't address him as Director Yi. There was only one person who went by the title Director Yi, and that was his sister. The woman covered her face shyly. "Yi Bai, Director Yi. You're on good terms with him, right? Please help me pull some strings, eh? I'm too embarrassed to do it." "Yi Mu Fan, I'll pull your father. Why can't you play by the book? Please, please. You must pass it to him. I'll treat you to a meal if it's done." Oh, the female artist stuffed her phone number into Yi Mu Fan's pocket, blew him a kiss and left. Yi Mu Fan stared at the piece of paper with her number written on it. The sadness in his heart overflowed like a river. Back in the day, Yi Wanwan was the one who helped him pass love letters and gifts to girls. He never ever thought there would be a day when their roles were reversed. Yi Mu Fan took a very long time before he managed to get over his sorrow. He took the paper resentfully and went to find his sister. Dong, dong, dong. Even his knocks were full of resentment. "Come in." Yi Wanwan covered all the documents from C Corporation that she was reading. Yi Mu Fan entered and directly tossed the piece of paper on Yi Wanwan's desk. "There, it's for you." Yi Wanwan choked and sneezed as the paper was too heavily scented. "What's this?" Yi Mu Fan mumbled with jealousy. "A chick's number. She's trying to hook up with you and wants me to pull strings for her." Yi Wanwan giggled and put the paper aside, then she waved. You know very well that I'm strong in will but weak in power. You should have declined on my behalf at least. Seeing the faint smile on Yu Wanwan's lazy expression, Yimu Fan spaced out. Then he realized something miserably. Damn, my sister is really quite handsome. When she was working, her serious manner gave one a sense of security, and when she was relaxed and lazy, she was extremely charming. No, wait, that's not the point. The point is, what does she mean by strong in will but weak in power? She's a girl, so what willpower does she need? Chapter 712. Who is he going to be fronting for? Yimu Fan was cursing in his heart when Yu Wanwan pulled open a drawer and took out a velvet gift box for him. Almost forgot about this. It's for you. Congratulations on getting the award. Heh, I have a present? Eh? How can I accept that? Huh? Although that was what he said, his hand reached out for it swiftly. The moment he opened it, a Patek Philippe greeted him. It was a special limited edition watch. Yimu Fan noticed there was another similar box in her drawer. So he asked, "You bought 2 sets? It's Dad's birthday next month. Did you forget about it?" Oh, right. But with Dad's personality, he wouldn't accept such an expensive watch. I'll just tell him it's a counterfeit and I bought it for $200. Yi Wanwan didn't seem to mind. Yimu Fan was speechless. Cough, you think our dad can't even differentiate the real deal from a counterfeit? Yi Wanwan raised her brows. Whether or not he believes it depends on who says it. Yimu Fan pouted. Right. He believes whatever his precious daughter says. Oh, right. Are you coming to tonight's grand fashion ceremony? Yimu Fan asked excitedly. After going through so much, Yimu Fan now kept quite a low profile. This was his first time appearing in front of the public at tonight's grand fashion ceremony organized by the Fashion Association. Also, he would be appearing in the capacity of the vice chairperson of the Fashion Association and expert judging panel. I still have some things I need to settle first, so I'll probably be late. Since it's your night tonight, I'll just drop by for a bit. Make sure you don't drink so much and drive slowly. Yi Wanwan smiled. Before, she had to keep an eye on Yimu Fan, but now, she could let him handle things by himself. Actually, with regards to networking, Yimu Fan was much better at it than her. All right, then I'll head over by myself first. Remember to come. Yimu Fan urged her repeatedly. Otherwise, who am I going to be fronting for? I finally have something to show for my life before leaving. Yimu Fan caught sight of a stack of documents next to Yi Wanwan's hand, and there seemed to be the logo of C Corporation printed on the corner of it. Why would Wanwan have documents about the C Corporation? Yimu Fan shook his head and assumed he probably made a mistake. So he didn't think much about it and simply hummed a song, leaving in good spirits. After Yimu Fan left, Yi Wanwan continued looking through the documents with relevant information about the C Corporation. Before she was reborn, she spent all her time on chasing Guyu Zhe, resenting the heavens and blaming others. After her rebirth, she didn't waste a single second at all and was absorbing all sorts of knowledge like a sponge. Aside from things related to acting, she spent all her remaining time on understanding the C Corporation better. The C family had various subdivisions all over the world handled by their direct descendants. Needless to say, their subsidiary companies were messier with crooks mixed in with the honest folks. They were involved in real estate, hotels, jewelry, precious stones, antiques, jades, fashion, electronics, and many other industries. She already spent many months just trying to sort out and understand one of them. However, these matters really were quite complicated. Even the internal staff who had worked in the C Corporation for many years could never possibly understand everything fully. It was already impressive for her to be able to absorb so much information in such a short time. After the first step of information collection was completed, the next step was to put what she learned into practice. If she wanted to win people over, she couldn't simply indulge in empty talk. During this period, Qin Ruo she was obviously working hard as well, and had successfully clinched a number of major deals while Ce Han was recuperating, winning many people over. It was hard to blame anyone for thinking that Qin Ruo she's status was irreplaceable. TSK, I will let those people know what it truly means to be irreplaceable. Chapter 713. Who does he think he is? Over at Assembly of Stars Entertainment, everyone was crowded around He Jun Chung, congratulating him. Head stylist He, congratulations. Indeed, one's ability will prove it all. Those amateur country bumpkins don't know a thing about fashion, and even said our boss used up all his creative powers already. Of course. Do you know how competitive the 100 Flowers Film Awards are? Even Cha-sel from Emperor Sky wasn't on the list. The costume drama He Jun-ching acted in was nominated for the 100 Flowers Award. Although the drama was only shortlisted and he didn't win an award, this was the most prestigious award in the local film industry, and only the top experts were nominated. Due to the errors appearing in his recent designs and styles, there was an increasing amount of rumors, but fortunately, this award proved his abilities. Even the rumors about the drop in his skills dissipated. This costume drama, which was nominated for the 100 Flowers Award, was taken over by Yi Mu-fan before he left. When that happened, he only managed to complete his job halfway. At first, He Jun-chung tried to convince Yi Mu-fan to come back and work for him, but who'd have expected that garbage didn't know what was good for him? Because of him, He Jun-chung had to form a team at the very last minute to complete the rest of the design. Luckily, all the work he did during these 2 years was enough for him to gain a foothold in the fashion world. He could even just live off his past achievements. A pity that the prosperous dynasty popped out all of a sudden. Otherwise, the award would definitely go to our head stylist He. Someone mumbled regretfully in the crowd. However, someone else went over to He Jun-chung immediately to flatter him. Too bad, the prosperous dynasty is worldwide's major production. We won't be able to compare with their resources and investments. Also, that designer who won the award was recruited into dazzling. He must be some expert who relied on connections. It's expected that he won the award, but our head stylist He threw a sprat to catch a whale. He was truly the unexpected winner. That's right. I heard the chairperson of the Fashion Association, Mu Wenqing, personally invited head stylist He to participate in the grand fashion ceremony this time. He even praised head stylist He's work in front of the reporters previously. Obviously, He Jun-chung didn't feel very comfortable when they brought up the drama series, The Prosperous Dynasty, that trampled him. However, losing to an opponent like that wasn't embarrassing to him. It was actually an honor instead. Hearing the compliments around him, He Jun-chung replied smugly, "It's just pure luck that I gained Chairperson Mu's favor." Everyone hurriedly bootlicked him once again. Head stylist He, you're too humble. These 2 years, you've won countless awards and groomed so many artists for the company. How could it simply be pure luck? It's your talent and strength that has brought you to the position you are in today. After He Jun-chung was done basking in praise from everybody, he drove over to fetch Shan Ming-chi, perfectly content. In the car, He Jun-chung, who was clad in designer brands, was flushed with success. "Ming-chi, what do you think? I told you there wouldn't be any problems, didn't I? Who does that guy think he is? He really thinks he's irreplaceable, huh?" Although Shin Ming-chi's face was much gentler, she was still unhappy and frustrated. "What about my outfit for next month's International Fashion Week? Can I rely on you, huh?" He Jun-cheng's eyes lit up. "I've already thought it out. During the grand fashion ceremony tonight, the newly appointed vice chairperson, Felix, will be there as well. We just have to prepare a couple gifts to entice him a little, then ask him out for a discussion and hire him to style you." Shin Ming-chi rolled her eyes at him, annoyed. He's worldwide's gold medal stylist, a guest of Mu Wenqing, the vice chairperson of the Fashion Association, as if it would be that easy for him to hire me, eh? Chapter 714. We must hire him. The luck of the newly appointed gold medal stylist, Godly Felix, didn't seem too good. Yi Mu-fan was looking bright and dashing as he left the apartment. He had pomade in his hair, which was very neatly combed. He drove his red Pagani sports car towards the venue of the grand fashion ceremony, radiant with happiness. The ceremony was held at a high-end private clubhouse in the suburbs of Beijing. Although the weather wasn't great the past few days and it had been raining, it didn't seem to dampen his good mood at all. The car windows were half open and there was a light drizzle pattering against his face, yet he was completely relaxed and content. Since there weren't many people on the road, Yimu Fan sped up. But halfway through, he saw a small blue car going against the traffic, advancing towards him. Fuck! Yimu Fan slammed on his brakes and swerved to avoid the car. As he was driving too fast, the red Pagani still scaped against the Buick and drove into a nearby shrub before it finally stopped. Thankfully, he dodged the car and nothing major happened. As it had just rained, the shrub was covered with mud. When Yimu Fan finally climbed out of his car, his entire appearance was ruined. His hair was a mess, his body was stained with mud, and the hood of his Pagani had a big dent. Damn it, I'm dead meat. Yimu Fan scratched his head and was as worried as an ant in a simmering pot. His first reaction was, I'm dead, I'm dead. Wanwan already told me to drive slowly before I left the apartment, but now I crashed the car. If Wanwan finds out about it, she'll skin me alive. Damn. Do you know how to drive? The driver of the blue car got out of the car and started yelling at Yimu Fan immediately. Yimu Fan was stunned. He was the one going against traffic, all right? Now I understand the saying, the guilty party files the suit. The other party had a strong stench of alcohol and had clearly been drunk driving. Great. I'll just call the police. What's the use in reasoning with a drunkard anyway? As Yimu Fan needed to rush off to the grand fashion ceremony, he directly called the police, then gave his assistant a call to come over and settle the matter. At the same time, He Juncheng and Shen Mingqi were already at the venue of the grand fashion ceremony. The two of them handed in their delicately designed gold foil invitations and entered. The ballroom was filled with perfumed clothes and gorgeous hairdos. Everyone there was either renowned in the fashion industry or were famous celebrities. After the two of them entered, a number of acquaintances went up and greeted them. Head stylist He, congratulations on getting nominated. He Juncheng cupped his hands in gratitude. You're too kind, you're too kind. After a round of greeting, Shen Mingqi scanned the crowd anxiously. Is the Felix you mentioned here already? He Juncheng, doesn't seem like it. He Juncheng, give me a definite answer right now. Are you confident you can hire that guy or not? Shen Mingqi was worried and asked once again. He Juncheng wasn't certain and replied hesitantly, Mingqi, must you really hire Felix? Shen Mingqi glanced sideways at him. Of course. This is my first international show. I won't allow room for any mistakes. Lately, her styles had been mediocre and her status as a fashion guru was in danger, so how could she not be anxious? So, no matter what the price was, she had to hire him. If He Juncheng was more reliable, would she have to go through so much effort? Huh? As for Yimu Fan, he was even more useless. He was probably fooling around somewhere right now. Chapter 7:15. Depends on our luck. He Juncheng was in a difficult position. Mingqi, I suggest you don't have too much hope. This newly appointed vice chairperson has a weird personality. He doesn't charge a cent for styling artists in dazzling media, but for anyone outside of dazzling media, including those from worldwide, it depends on his mood and he could charge an extremely steep price. Even so, there's a long line of people requesting him. He's extremely hard to get. I know Director Zhang from the Fashion Association and we might be able to ask him to help us pull some strings, but whether we can hire him or not depends on our luck. Shen Mingqi furrowed her brows. He's just a stylist. Does he have to be so arrogant? When a stylist from Assembly of Stars heard her, he quickly said, Big Missy, you shouldn't belittle the importance of a stylist. In the entertainment industry, an artist's outlook and style are life or death to them. It's hard to find a good stylist in the industry, let alone an expert like Felix who can transform something rotten into something magical. He's now a hot favorite. Even superstars and A-listers have to humble themselves before him. He Junsheng nodded in agreement. Yes, that's exactly it. At the moment, there was a commotion nearby. It was the arrival of Director Zhang from the Fashion Association. Mengqi, Director Zhang is here. Quick. He Junsheng waited for a long time before he finally squeezed through the crowd and brought Shan Mengqi over to meet him. Director Zhang, hello. I'm He Junsheng from Assembly of Stars Entertainment. We met before. Director Zhang nodded slightly, then raised the glass in his hand. Head stylist He, I haven't congratulated you on being nominated for the 100 Flowers Award this time. Your work is amazing. Even the chairperson himself praised your work. Thank you, Director Zhang. You're too kind. He Junsheng smiled and exchanged conventional greetings for a bit before moving on to business. Director Zhang, I wonder if the vice chairperson is here yet? About that thing I told you before, what do you think? Could you ask him for me? Director Zhang shook his head. Ask Felix? Next month will be the opening of Fashion Week in Lorraine, and almost everyone is looking for him. If it's an artist from Dazzling Media, it'd be easier, but for other companies, Director Zhang gave an expression like everyone should be well aware of this and patted He Junsheng's shoulders. Count yourself lucky if you're able to exchange a few words with him tonight. Give it some time. He Junsheng hurriedly said, Yes, we don't mind waiting at all. Please put in a good word for us later. Director Zhang was about to speak when his phone started ringing, so he quickly stepped to the side to answer it, appearing to be extremely polite. Hello, Vice Chairperson. Are you here yet? What? How did that happen? Was it serious? Are you all right? Oh, good, as long as you're fine. Clothes shouldn't be a problem. I'll prepare some for you personally. Sure. Director Zhang immediately turned to He Junsheng and the others after the phone call. Everyone, I have something I need to do right now. I'm going to excuse myself first. Sure. Go get busy. Everyone sent him on his way. After Director Zhang left, everybody split into their own groups and started gossiping. Was Director Zhang on the phone with the vice chairperson just now? Did something happen? Seems like he encountered a bit of trouble on his way here. Speaking of which, where did this Felix come from anyway? Since he's so great, why didn't he join a bigger company? Why was he so set on staying in a small nook like Dazzling? Not sure. I only know that he was poached by Dazzling's Director of Talent Management. Also, Dazzling is doing quite good now, right? From the looks of things, they seem quite awesome. Chapter 716. You've been well since we last met. The crowd chatted for a while, and the grand fashion ceremony was about to begin, but Felix still hadn't arrived. Quite a number of people had shown up because of him tonight. It could even be said that they were all anxiously awaiting his arrival at this moment. Shin Mengqi was bored stiff as she chatted about fashion and accessories with a couple small artists, while He Junsheng was shooting his mouth off with a few stylists. At this moment, a stylist with a low ponytail standing across from He Junsheng suddenly turned and said in an exaggerated manner, "Io, what a rare sight. Guess who I just saw?" "Who? You're being so dramatic. Could it be Felix?" "Pooey, don't insult my Prince Charming. It's that useless great young master from the Yi family, the Crown Prince of Emperor Sky Entertainment." Crown Prince of Emperor Sky Entertainment? Are you referring to Yimu Fan? I thought Yimu Fan's entire family had been chased out of the family because of what his dad did. He hasn't appeared at such high-profile events for quite some time. No way. What's he doing here? Did you see wrong? The crowd was gossiping while looking at the man with long hair. With one glance, he really did look like that good-for-nothing great young master. Hearing the gossip, He Junsheng turned and looked as well. As expected, he saw Yimu Fan avoiding the crowd and entering the ballroom. All he saw was Yimu Fan's hair in a mess and his attire crumpled and stained. It even had some leaves on it, and he looked extremely pathetic. Why did he come over looking like this? Is this crown prince letting himself go with completely no sense of shame anymore? Everyone knew how particular Yimu Fan was about his manner of dress in the past, and he had never appeared so haggard in front of everyone before. In the past, Yimu Fan was too high profile and nobody had a good impression of him, so they obviously gloated when they saw him so down and out now. What crown prince, eh? The Yi family is no longer what they used to be. It's the second son, Yi Shaoan, who matters now, and Yi Yi is the future lady of the Gu household. They make a strong alliance, as if there's still a place for him. Even everyone in the industry knew about that trivial matter in the Yi family. Who didn't know that this prince, Yimu Fan, was abandoned long ago and was now a stray dog? A designer with a pointy chin moved closer to He Juncheng to gossip. I heard he was previously doing odd jobs for Assembly of Stars Entertainment. Were you guys the ones who gave him an invitation letter? The long-haired man immediately sneered. What? He was dismissed ages ago. This useless garbage. Our big missy and head stylist, he were kind, so they gave him something to do. Yimu Fan was about to look for Director Zhang to get a change of outfit, but all of a sudden, someone blocked his way. Aya, isn't this our Assembly of Stars great stylist Yi? Eh? Looks like after leaving Assembly of Stars, you've been doing quite well, eh? Are you also here to attend the grand fashion ceremony? Yimu Fan was pondering how to explain things to Wanwan and was very irritable. His cold eyes swept over the group of stylists headed by He Juncheng and couldn't be bothered with them. Good dogs don't block the way. He Juncheng didn't expect he would be able to watch such an interesting program today, so he walked over merrily. Young Master Yi, I see you've been well since we last met. Not far off, Shun Mengqi noticed the situation and her gaze was full of disgust and disdain as she looked at Yimu Fan. What's this guy doing here? Could it be that he still has evil intentions towards me? With that thought, Shun Mengqi was instantly disgusted. She took a glance at him and quickly turned away, uninterested. Chapter 717. Definitely be the prettiest. He Juncheng walked over to Yimu Fan, lowered his voice and said in a regretful tone, why did you choose this path, eh? Before, I was so kind to invite you over to work for us, but too bad. You don't know what's good for you. He Juncheng paused and his eyes were filled with delight. Now, even if you wanted to beg me, I'm afraid it wouldn't be that easy anymore. Yimu Fan wasn't in a rush to leave, so he raised his brows slightly. Beg you? He Juncheng recalled being tied up at the graveyard by Yimu Fan, and his face turned gloomy. If you kneel down and kowtow to me thrice in front of everybody, I might consider giving you another chance. Yimu Fan was about to speak when his phone started ringing. It was a call from Yuanwan. Yimu Fan took one look at it and immediately felt guilty. He wasn't in the mood to bicker anymore, so he jogged to a corner where there was no one around and answered the call. Everyone saw how anxious Yimu Fan was and immediately started mocking him. Since this person has been fired by Assembly of Stars, what on earth is he doing here? Look at him behaving like a thief. He must have snuck in. This great young master isn't good at anything, but is an expert in engaging in all sorts of illicit trading. Where's security? Are they doing their job or not? He Juncheng pretended to be generous and patted the other party's shoulders. Forget it. Forget it. We were all colleagues once. Head stylist he. How could you speak up for someone like him? Everybody saw that He Juncheng was trying to ease the tension. With the ceremony starting soon, everyone was busy with preparations and simply let this pass. Arguing with garbage like him is simply a waste of time. On stage, the host spoke with enthusiasm. Good evening, distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. The 13th annual Grand Fashion Ceremony shall officially begin. In accordance with past practices, other than networking with people in the industry, the highlight of the ceremony was having various renowned stylists showcasing the work they were most pleased with to date. In the audience, Shen Mengqi glanced at He Juncheng, who was seated next to her. Yimu Fan showed up tonight. Is he looking for trouble with us? Huh? After all, He Juncheng was using Yimu Fan's design as the work he was going to showcase, so would Yimu Fan let that slide? When He Juncheng heard her, he was completely fearless and sniggered. Him? Mengqi, you think too highly of that garbage. Let's not talk about him. If he really was that dumb to seek that road to death, This is the perfect occasion to make trouble for us. I'll make sure he won't be able to continue working in this industry." Shen Mengqi also thought she was worrying too much. She simply shrugged and didn't speak anymore. "I'll go backstage to prepare." "Go on, baby. You'll definitely be the prettiest tonight." The music started playing, and on stage, famous works of various stylists that allowed them to reach the pinnacle of their careers appeared one after another. The models were all showcasing their beauty, displaying the magnificent view of 100 flowers blooming in the fashion world. In the middle seat at the front row, the chairperson of the Fashion Association was seated. On his right was Director Zheng, while his left side was empty. At this moment, Mu Wenqing, who was over 50 years old and dressed in a formal suit, was focused on looking at everyone's masterpieces. After seeing Shen Mengqi's appearance on stage, his eyes had an obvious hint of astonishment. "Not bad." Director Zheng chimed in quickly. "Yes, not bad." Chairperson Mu, do you find that He Junqing's style seems quite similar to our vice chairpersons in some ways, huh? Chapter 718. Misappropriation of Work. Mu Wenqing shook his head. Compared to Mu Fan, there's still a big difference. Director Jing knew how much this chairperson admired the newly appointed vice chairperson and quickly said, "Of course. They have similar styles, but He Junqing's work seems much more amateur." Mu Wenqing turned to the empty seat next to him. "Where's Mu Fan? Why isn't he here yet?" "He got into an accident on the way, and he's dealing with it now. He'll be here later." "What? An accident?" Mu Wenqing knitted his brows. Director Zheng hurriedly explained, "Chairperson, don't panic. He's all right, but his car was slightly damaged. I'll go to the entrance to meet him right away." Director Zheng's temporary departure didn't cause any commotion. The second Shen Mengqi appeared on stage. Compliments could be heard everywhere, and the audience started clapping. "Truly, this is the best work of head stylist He. It's really amazing. This creativity, this idea, no ordinary person could come up with it." Even Chairperson Mu nodded in approval just now. He Junqing basked in all this inflated praise giddily. "All of you are flattering me. It's just a minor achievement not worth mentioning." Right at this moment, amidst the praise, there was a sudden voice to say, "Since when did the standards of the Fashion Association drop so low? Even this shameless person's stolen work could be openly displayed on stage and receive the admiration of everyone." The man's voice was a little cynical and full of sarcasm. As this questioning voice was so sudden, everyone went silent for a second. He Junqing's gleeful expression froze on his face. His expression darkened as he turned to the side. He saw Yimu Fan standing there with his hair still a mess and his clothes crumpled. Yimu Fan curled his lips and stood there calmly. "Yimu Fan, he actually dared to mess with us. Good, very good." He Junqing didn't have to speak up at all. Someone else already started yelling on his behalf. "Where did this wretched-looking beggar come from, eh? How dare he bring down the reputation of the Fashion Association and even accuse our stylist of being a thief?" Not many had seen Felix's face, and looking at Yimu Fan's sloven appearance, nobody respected him obviously. "Who is this guy? Why does he look so familiar?" "Don't you know? He's the great young master of Yi Group, Crown Prince of Emperor Sky Entertainment, Yimu Fan." "Damn, that ignorant bum? What's he doing here? I heard he used to do odd jobs for He Junqing and was fired. He probably has a grudge, so he's here to cause trouble. This is ridiculous." When everyone was almost done insulting Yimu Fan, He Junqing stood up and said casually, "Young Master Yi, you were chased out of your house and was living on the streets before. So our big missy pitied you and decided to take you in, allowing you to work for me. But since you didn't have any talents and refused to work properly, I had no choice but to let you go. After all, the company needs to make profits and we can't afford to pay idlers. Who knew that not only were you unremorseful, but you even came here to insult me? I, He Juncheng pretended to be heartbroken while Yimu Fan remained silent. He simply stood there and watched his act. Oh, I have no talents? Then who has talents, huh? Is it you, great stylist he? The person who only knows how to copy someone else's work? He Juncheng was waiting for him to say this and sniggered. Young Master Yi, you accuse me of stealing someone else's work? Why don't you tell us whose work I've stolen? Chapter 719. Who did you say he is? Yimu Fan crossed his arms and spoke without thinking. Mine, obviously. Pfft. Haha, what did this garbage just say? The second Yimu Fan said that the designers scattered around Hejun Ching immediately burst out laughing. Yimu Fan, is there something wrong with your head? Our head stylist, he stole your work? Who do you think you are? Iowa, the head stylist of Assembly of Stars Entertainment, stealing the work of a nobody. You really know how to put feathers in your own cap, huh? Hejun Chang didn't have to say anything at all. Everyone else's ridicule was enough to drown out Yimu Fan. Hey, where's the security? Is this how they work? How could they simply let someone in without an invitation? And they even let him cause a ruckus here. Exactly. Why aren't they chasing him out yet? The commotion was getting bigger, and very soon, the staff members were alerted. May I know what's going on here? A girl in formal attire rushed over anxiously. After seeing Yimu Fan, her eyes glistened. Director Zhang has been looking. Before the girl could finish her sentence, she was interrupted by the stylist with long hair. This guy barged in without an invitation and caused trouble because he's jealous of our head stylist. He even accused him of stealing his work. How do you guys do your job? Do you even care? People around them who didn't know what was going on were watching the commotion and whispering into each other's ears. He's here to cause trouble. Jealous of head stylist he. The staff member was puzzled and didn't understand what happened at all. The long-haired man looked very stern and said firmly, That's right. If you don't believe me, check and see whether he has an invitation. Forget it. Hejun Cheng acted like he was very generous and forgiving. In order to curry favor with Hejun Cheng, the long-haired guy spoke in a righteous tone. How could you just let this go? This scum of the fashion world actually had the audacity to pass through the doors of our fashion association. He's tarnishing the name of the association. When the staff member heard that, her face was somewhat indescribable. The way she looked at Hejun Cheng and the others was as if she was looking at strange beings. Indeed, this gentleman here doesn't have an invitation. The long-haired guy became excited immediately and said happily, Told ya, what did he offer you that you were actually convinced to let him in? The staff member was slightly angered by this person's aggressive attitude. She glanced coldly at Hejun Cheng and the others, then explained, loud and clear, This gentleman here is our Fashion Association's vice chairperson. He is the host and organizer for today's grand fashion ceremony, so naturally, he didn't need an invitation. Do any of you have an issue with this? The entire place fell into a dead silence. The long-haired guy's smile froze on his face, and Hejun Cheng's eyes constricted instantly as he lifted his head and glared at Yimu Fan. On stage, Shunming Chi was watching the show calmly, and her body stiffened up immediately. Her delicate little face turned white, and she looked at Yimu Fan in complete disbelief. What did that woman just say? Vice chairperson of the Fashion Association. Yimu Fan? At this moment, Hejun Cheng, who had finally regained his senses, spoke with much difficulty. What did you just say? Who did you say he was? The staff member rolled her eyes at him. Our newly appointed vice chairperson of the Fashion Association, Mr. Felix. He's the guy you accused of barging in without an invitation and tarnishing the name of the Fashion Association. Everyone. Chapter 720. Paranoia. Hejun Cheng swallowed hard and was completely dumbfounded. How could this be? Yimu Fan is Felix? This is impossible. There must be a mistake somewhere. Just as everyone looked at each other in confusion, Director Zhang rushed over. Damn, my great vice chairperson, I finally found you. Why didn't I see you at the entrance just now? I've already prepared your outfit, so hurry, get changed. Director Zhang probably sensed something strange about the atmosphere, so he asked, What? What happened? Oh, right. Head stylist he. Weren't you looking for our vice chairperson? Here he is. He then turned to Yimu Fan and said, Felix, this is head stylist he from Assembly of Stars Entertainment, and on stage is Miss Shanming Chi from Assembly of Stars. They would like to speak to you about working together for the Lorraine Fashion Week. Yimu Fan casually pulled off a blade of grass from his sleeve. Oh, is that so? At this current moment, He Juncheng and Shinming Chi wanted to die. When they heard what Director Zhang said, they really wished to bury their heads deep into the ground. Director Zhang already clarified it. They had to believe it no matter how unwilling they were. Just now, Director Zhang said Felix had an accident on the way there, which was why Yimu Fan was in this state. So the mighty gold medal expert stylist, Felix, whom they were racking their brains over to think of a way to hire, was actually that garbage. Yimu Fan. Darn it, what exactly is going on here? Yimu Fan had been kicked out of Emperor Sky. How was it possible that he could reach this level in such a short period of time? Shinming Chi stood on stage and glared at He Juncheng ferociously. Yimu Fan is Felix. How could he not know something so important? He Juncheng was at a loss. How could he have possibly known Felix and Yimu Fan were the same person? However, the worst was yet to come. In front, the chairperson of the Fashion Association, Mu Wenqing, strode over with a rigid expression. Mu Fan, you said He Juncheng stole your work just now. What do you mean? Yimu Fan glanced at Mu Wenqing. Teacher, it's nothing major, but not long ago, I lost a manuscript and to my surprise, it was picked up by head stylist He. Hearing that, the cold sweat on He Juncheng's forehead almost started dripping. This is a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. If this was confirmed to be true, everything would be over for him. He Juncheng panicked. He decided not to admit to the truth no matter what, and he retorted instantly, What manuscript are you talking about? There's no such thing. This is my very own design. Chairperson, you must believe me. He Juncheng gradually became more confident when he realized Yimu Fan didn't have any evidence at all. Young Master Yi, you said this was your design, so could you please provide some evidence, huh? When did you lose the manuscript? And where did you lose it? What now? Can't provide any proof, right? Yimu Fan chuckled. Haha, evidence? My memory isn't too good. I really can't recall all these irrelevant details. Head stylist He. Are you saying that I'm framing you? That I'm jealous of your talents and abilities, so I'm trying to slander your name and take ownership of your work? He Juncheng was stunned by what Yimu Fan said. It shed light on the situation, and the crowd starting looking at He Juncheng doubtfully. He's got to be kidding. A vice chairperson of the Fashion Association, come award winner of the 100 Flowers Award, being jealous of him? Is He Juncheng paranoid? He Juncheng was flustered and he started to ramble. Yimu Fan, you and your poisonous slander. All this work is mine. They're my designs. You're accusing me without any evidence, so I could also say that you're stealing my work. Chapter 721. Switched personality within seconds. Yimu Fan acted graciously and like he didn't mind at all. Hey, head stylist He, don't panic. I was just speaking my mind and didn't plan on making you take responsibility for this incident. It's just a design. I can give you over 10 of mine in a day. Since you like it so much, I'll give it to you then. It's no big deal. We were once colleagues anyway, so I don't mind giving you another manuscript if you want. Why you? He Juncheng was so mad that he nearly spewed out blood. Yimu Fan said he didn't mind, but he didn't have any evidence at all yet. He managed to stick the label of stealing his work onto He Juncheng. Also, with his current status, everybody would naturally believe what he said. Oh my god, I really didn't expect He Juncheng to be someone like that. Picking up someone's manuscript and calling it his own. Exactly. How could he act so brazenly just because the other party doesn't have any evidence? Huh? He actually said Felix stole his work. Shameless. The crowd who had spoken up for He Juncheng just seconds earlier already shifted priorities completely. They were all mocking He Juncheng the way they ridiculed Yimu Fan a while ago. He Juncheng and Yimu Fan were akin to a beggar and a millionaire. A beggar accusing the millionaire of stealing his money. Would anyone believe this? Yimu Fan looked at He Juncheng, who was attacked from all sides till he had no rebuttal, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. TSK, so what if I was just spouting random nonsense? With my current status, do I still need any evidence to mess with him? Anyway, with what Yimu Fan said today, He Juncheng's professional career could be considered destroyed already. This was because nobody knew how many designs were in the aforementioned manuscript. Whether He Juncheng's future designs would be from the stolen manuscript or created by him, nobody would know. As for Shinming Qi, who was wearing the stolen design, her future wasn't any better. This chairperson, Mu Wenqing, was obviously on Yimu Fan's side, and he was also a very protective person. He immediately struck He Juncheng's name off the Fashion Association and called security to chase him out. The other stylists from Assembly of Stars were ashamed as well, and they silently left one after another. Shinming Qi looked like a fool. She stood on the stage in a daze, and not a single person helped her out of this embarrassing situation. She held onto a glimmer of hope and looked towards Yimu Fan. Although this man was vain and frivolous, he was devoted to protecting her, and each time something happened to her, he was the first to appear. However, this time, Yimu Fan didn't even glance at her once the entire time. The man was completely surrounded by groups of people going up to him. She couldn't even see the back of his head. Haha, with pleasure, with pleasure. Yimu Fan was busy socializing like a fish back in the water when he caught sight of a familiar figure walking towards him. He was so shocked he nearly spat out his wine. My boss is here. I've got to go. Please make way. Yimu Fan hurriedly passed his glass to a staff member nearby, then rushed over, seeing how Yimu Fan had switched personalities within a second. Director Zheng said helplessly, "Why do I find that each time our vice chairperson sees Director Yi, he behaves like a mouse seeing a cat?" The staff member didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That's true. Usually, Felix can be quite arrogant. He won't give anyone face whenever he's in a bad mood. But with just one word from Director Yi, and he'll obey instantly. Where did this Director Yi from Dazzling come from? He has so many great experts under his control. Chapter 722, Too Biased in the Little Garden. Yimu Fan didn't have the time to change outfits. The guilt on his face was unconcealable. BBB boss. Yi Wanwan scanned him from head to toe. What happened? Yimu Fan was very obedient and confessed instantly. Wanwan, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Although I did drive a little faster, it was the other party's fault. He was driving in the opposite direction. So the car is damaged. Are you injured? Yi Wanwan frowned. Just some abrasions. Yimu Fan replied weakly. Yi Wanwan, as long as you're fine, it's all right. Never mind that the car is damaged. Wanwan. Yimu Fan was teary-eyed when he realized his sister wasn't scolding him. Previously, Yi Wanwan really was too strict with him, which made him so submissive whenever he saw her now. Have you settled that issue with He Juncheng? Yi Wanwan asked. Yimu Fan grinned. Don't worry, it's settled. That guy even asked me for evidence just now. Haha, what a joke. Yimu Fan looked at his sister, and his eyes lit up. Wanwan, you were right. As long as one has authority, justice can be sought at any time. Actually, there was a period of time when he was filled with hatred, felt that heaven was unfair, and felt embittered. After all credit for his efforts was taken by someone else, which nearly caused him to be psychologically imbalanced. Finally, it was Wanwan's words that helped him settle down and focus all his energy on his work. When Yi Wanwan heard that, she looked at Yimu Fan in such high spirits and felt a warmth in her heart. That's good. Let's go home together for dinner tonight. Yimu Fan. All right. That night, Yi Wanwan and Yimu Fan returned home to a table full of dishes prepared by Liang Wanjun. Xiaoting, don't drink so much. Yi Xiaoting was all smiles. It's okay. It's a joyous day today. Seeing Wanwan becoming more sensible and even Mu Fan stabilizing with his career taking off, there was a gratified feeling in his heart that was indescribable. This sense of gratification was incomparable to any of his past achievements. It's Daddy's fault for making the two of you suffer so much. Yi Xiaoting knew very well how challenging the future would be for his two children. Yi Wanwan replied sweetly, Dad, what nonsense. You're the best father in the world. If it wasn't for her, her dad would never be in this state today. In this industry where only benefits mattered, blood relations and love weren't even worth a mention. There weren't many who would do the same as Yi Xiaoting, giving up everything for the sake of his children. Yi Xiaoting looked at his daughter lovingly, but when he looked at his son, his face instantly turned rigid. Rascal, when will you ever change this impulsive character of yours? How many times have I told you to drive slower? Drive slower. You haven't listened to me at all. Look at you. You've damaged such an expensive car. How much did it cost? Yimu Fan held his head when he heard his father's scolding. Here we go again. Yi Wanwan hurriedly said, Daddy, it's the other party's fault for drunk driving, not Ji's fault. Anyway, we can just get another car if it's damaged. That model is a little dated already, and with Yi's current status, it's time for a change. Yi Xiaoting nodded. Wanwan's right. Yimu Fan. Tears flowed down Yimu Fan's face. Dad, you're too biased, I say something 100 times and it's pointless, but when Wanwan says something once, you agree instantly. Chapter 723. I am the one with ulterior motives. Liang Wanjun laughed and shook her head. Her eyes were filled with gratitude as she looked at her son and daughter. Sitting and joking around together as a family like this was something she didn't even dare to imagine before. Liang Wanjun seemed to have remembered something when her face darkened slightly and she said hesitantly, Oh right, Xiaoting, Mom called yesterday and asked Mu Fan and Wanwan to go over to the old residence for a meal when they're free. After hearing what Liang Wanjun said, Yimu Fan's face turned frosty. What for? I'm not going. Yi Wanwan glanced at Yimu Fan plainly and said, Mu Fan's quite busy lately. He probably doesn't have time to go over. Maybe next month. Go. Remember to get Grandpa and Grandma some gifts these next few days. Pick something nice. Yimu Fan had a change in his tone instantly. Oh, got it. Liang Wanjun couldn't help but burst out in laughter. Yimu Fan was just complaining that his father only listened to Wanwan, but he was doing the same thing too. Although the two elders would never change their opinions of her, she didn't want Wanwan and Mu Fan to be implicated. With Mu Fan's character, he would easily be taken advantage of by Yi and her mother. Thankfully, Wanwan could help advise Mu Fan, so Liang Wanjun was much more at ease. Looking at her daughter becoming prettier and more sensible, the feeling in Liang Wanjun's heart felt sweeter than honey, and she asked caringly, Wanwan, how are things between you and Agio? In order to reassure her parents, Yi Wanwan nodded repeatedly. We're great. School holidays are coming up and we're preparing to travel. When Yimu Fan heard that, his face tensed up instantly. Just the two of you? No way. I'm going as well. No. Yi Wanwan rejected him directly. Yimu Fan became stern. Wanwan, you're too naive, traveling alone with him. That guy must have some ulterior motive. Yi Wanwan looked disapprovingly at him. Yes, of course there is an ulterior motive, but I am the one with the ulterior motive, so you aren't allowed to come along. Yimu Fan, ugh, driving me mad. The next day, the incident at the grand fashion ceremony was reported by the media with added oil and vinegar. Both the media and public were on Yimu Fan's side. He was talented, handsome, and occupied a high post, so why would he bother to tarnish a nobody's name? Since he wasn't trying to tarnish He Junsheng's name, that meant it was a fact. At the office, Yi Wanwan was flipping through a pile of documents about identifying precious stones when a knock came at the door. Come in. Director Yi. Upon seeing who it was, Yi Wanwan's eyes flashed subtly. Manju, take a seat. Is something the matter? Meeting the man's eyes, Shun Manju blushed a little and stood there hesitating for a long while before she finally said shyly, that, Director Yi. Felix, did he help me pass something to you? Yi Wanwan's fingers lightly rapped against the shiny desk and said, Your number? Shin Manju's face turned redder and she whined. I've been waiting all night and didn't get any call. Director Yi, do you dislike me that much? Yi Wanwan coughed lightly and pinched her brows. She wasn't very experienced at rejecting girls. Obviously, it was also impossible for her to have any experience with that. It was simpler with men. She could just speak her mind without any psychological barriers, but this other party now was a cute and delicate girl. Once she put herself in her shoes and thought about it, it would truly be too ruthless to reject her directly. Chapter 724. Hubby, look here. Yi Wanwan thought long and hard about her rejection speech and finally said, Manju, you're a great girl. Shin Manju felt worse. Don't give me that P. Yi Wanwan, At this current moment, the entrance of dazzling media was surrounded by fans. A seven-seater car stopped at the entrance and a youth in a black Western suit stepped out of the car. Luo Qin had always been fond of dressing himself up in campus-style clothes and appearing in white shirts and jeans. Ever since Yimu Fan had taken over, Luo Qin's style had started to shift towards a more mature style of dress. He was currently dressed in a classic uniform, causing his fans' blood to boil. Ah, Luo Qin, Luo Qin, Luo Chun. Luo Qin, I love you. My only love, my Chun. The stars, one, will never fall. Hubby, look here. Ever since Terrifying Dragon 2 aired, Luo Chun experienced a burst in fame and directly entered the ranks of A-list newbies. While the fans were screaming continuously, another person stepped out of the seven-seater car. Gong Su still had his cherry blossom pink messy hair, but his style had totally been transformed by Yimu Fan. He was no longer wearing those blinding neon colors and was more focused on taste and character. He was still arrogant and unruly, but he was no longer so brainless and non-conforming who attracted a large batch of fans who cared only about an artist's looks. Gong Su straightened his collar and was upset. TSK. Fans these days are lacking in class, huh? What's so nice about a face with facial paralysis? After speaking, he smiled and greeted his fans. Hi, his smile was even more dazzling than the sun. His little canine tooth was explosively adorable and carried a hint of seduction. Ah, Gong Su. Too cute. I want to make babies with you. Oh God. I'm going to faint. After receiving some enthusiastic shrieks from his fans, Gong Su was finally satisfied. You two ancestors. Come in quickly. Otherwise, security won't be able to hold them back anymore. Xiaoqing and Dong Zai hurriedly ushered these two people into the company building. Gong Su and Luo Chun looked at each other but didn't speak at all. They took the private lift together. Gong Su didn't like knocking before he entered. When they arrived at the door of Yi Wanwan's office, he directly pushed the door open. E.g., I'm back in the next second. Everyone at the door saw Shin Manju and Yi Wanwan hugging. Gong Su, Luo Chun. Four pairs of eyes looked at each other in dismay. Sorry for interrupting. Gong Su was the fastest to return to his senses, and he slammed the door shut immediately. Damn, that's exciting. The moment the door was shut, Gong Su began howling and attempted to peep through the gap of the door excitedly. Behind him, Luo Chun furrowed his brows and obviously disapproved of Gong Su's behavior. Sensing Luo Chin's contemptuous gaze on him, Gong Su rolled his eyes at him. PSH, bloody fake. Stop pretending. Don't you want to know what's going on inside? My curiosity's exploding. Damn. What's going on? Isn't Yi Ji gay? Why would he and Shin Manju HM? At the same time, in the office, Yi Wanwan was extremely troubled. She didn't even have to think to know how Gong Su would misunderstand what he just saw. Actually, Nothing happened just now. Shun Manju was a little emotional after being rejected by her, so she pounced on her for a hug. She wasn't prepared for this at all. Who'd have known that at this very moment, Gong Su would suddenly push the door open. 1. Stars in Chinese is Xing Chun, so that's why one of Luo Chen's fans chanted that phrase. Chapter 725. The type of girls he likes. Sorry, did I cause trouble for you? Shin Manju was apologetic. Don't worry, I'll explain. Yi Wanwan handed her a piece of tissue. After some time, Shin Manju came out of the office. Gong Su was anxiously waiting, and once he saw her walking out, he acted like a robber and pulled her to a quiet corner. Aya, I didn't know Shin Manju has a crush on Yi Ji. Eh? Shin Manju had just gotten rejected, so she was in a bad mood and glared at him. Can I? Sure. Of course you can. My Yi Ji is so dashing that even I was moved. It's very normal for you to have a crush on him. So how's the progress? Gong Su tried fishing for juicy gossip. Shin Manju's face fell. Just by looking at her expression, he knew things hadn't gone well. Director Yi isn't interested in women at all. Gong Su. Hearing Shun Manju's complaining, Gong Su thought, of course, because he likes men, silly. Gong Su's eyes shifted. He seemed to have thought of something as he revealed a sinister smile. That's a good sign. Now that there are more and more chicks falling for Yi Ji, there's a chance of pulling him back, right? I really dislike that man with an eerie aura. He's not compatible with Yi Ji at all. With that thought, Gong Su turned to Shin Manju and asked sincerely, Manju, do you know how to win Yi Ji over? The dejected Shin Manju immediately looked at him. You have a way? Gong Su patted his chest and said proudly, of course. I'm the most favored artist working with Yi Ji. I know what he likes. Luo Chun. Gong Su stared at Luo Chun and exclaimed, what? Do you have something to say? He looked like he wouldn't accept a rebuttal even if Luo Chun disagreed with what he said. Luo Chun glanced at him plainly, unconcerned. However, he turned towards Gong Su subconsciously and wanted to know the answer as well. What Yi Ji likes? I really have no idea. What types of girls does Yi Ji like? Quick, tell me. Shin Manju urged him impatiently. Gong Su swept his gaze over her and said leisurely, tell me how you chased him first. Shin Manju's face reddened once again. I got Felix to pass my number to him. Gong Su. Then what else? Shin Manju. Then I kept waiting for his call, but in the end, I didn't get anything. So I came over to see him this morning. Gong Su, who was waiting for something juicier, blinked and was disappointed. That's all? Nothing else? Shin Manju stomped her feet. Yes. What else do you want? It already took me a lot of guts to ask Felix to pull some strings for me, okay? Gong Su sighed and kept shaking his head. This won't do. You're not doing it right at all. Do you know what types of girls Yi Ji likes? Bullshit. Obviously I don't, which is why I'm asking you. Are you going to tell me or not? Stop beating around the bush. Shin Manju said, displeased. Come over. I'll tell you. Gong Su beckoned her with his index finger. Shin Manju immediately leaned over. Gong Su dragged his words and said mysteriously, let me tell you, Yi Ji likes girls who are unrestrained. The more unrestrained, forward, and open, the better. Shin Manju. Luo Chun, who acted like he didn't care but was eavesdropping. Shin Manju was stunned for a second and asked doubtfully, you sure? Judging by Director Ye's character, he should prefer the sweet, cute, innocent, and reserved type, right? Chapter 726. Why is she here again? Gong Su said firmly. Wrong. Completely wrong. That's why you failed. Get it? Shin Manju wasn't fully convinced. Really? Gong Su spoke matter-of-factly. Absolutely. So be bold and go get him. Seeing how certain Gong Su was and considering that he was one of the artists closer to Yi Bai, Shin Manju finally believed him and looked enlightened. I always thought Yi liked someone more reserved, but now I know. Hee hee, you don't need me to tell you. I'll give you a big red packet if I succeed. Shin Manju looked as if she was enlightened with infinite wisdom. You're welcome, you're welcome. After Shen Manju left, Luo Chan knitted his brows and glanced at Gong Su. What nonsense are you talking about? Gong Su rolled his eyes. What do you mean nonsense? How do you know Yiji doesn't like girls who are unrestrained? Luo Chun, who wanted to speak but couldn't refute his words. Even though he was Yiji's artist and Yiji knew him very well, he didn't know much about Yiji at all. After all the gossip, Gong Su finally pushed the door open and entered the office. Yiji, your luck with women isn't bad, huh? Yuanwan glanced at Gong Su's despicable face and threw a stack of newspapers at him. On the cover was another piece of gossip about Gong Su and another female star. Gong Su didn't dare to be cheeky anymore. He wailed loudly, Yiji, I'm innocent. This time, it was that woman who had malicious intentions to freeload on my popularity. I'm very picky, okay? How could I fancy someone like her? That night, at Pearl River Regal Riviera, Yuanwan glanced at the stack of documents about identifying precious stones on the coffee table, then tossed aside the thick pile of documents Si Han prepared for her. She told her parents before that she was going on a holiday, but in reality, she was going to Myanmar by herself. Her first task as part of the C Corporation was to procure raw stones. This was her very first assignment as the future mistress of the household, so it was extremely important. However, she couldn't guarantee a definite return from gambling in stones even if she was an expert, much less a beginner who was desperately cramming all the relevant knowledge. However, she still chose this risky task. Yuanwan was in deep thought when suddenly, there was someone at the door again. En? Si Han is here so quickly? Yuanwan quickly got up to open the door. In the end, the moment she pulled open the door, she realized the person wasn't Si Han but Shin Manju. Manju, upon seeing her, Yuanwan was somewhat taken aback. Thankfully, she hadn't changed out of her male disguise. But what's she doing here at this hour? Yi, Director Yi, may I come in? Shin Manju was dressed in an oversized black coat and was completely wrapped up. Please come in. After she entered, Yuanwan poured a glass of water for Shin Manju. Manju, why are you here at this hour? Is there something urgent? Shin Manju seemed a little nervous. She gulped down half the glass of water. When she recalled Gong Su's advice, she didn't drag things on and immediately got straight to the point. Yiji, can't you give me a chance? Yuanwan was stunned. So she hasn't given up? But I already made things so clear today. Why is she here again? A hint of suspicion flashed across Yuanwan's face, and she said patiently, Manju, you should know my principles. Chapter 727. Please keep your clothes on. Shin Manju nodded continuously. I know. Everyone in the industry knows you wouldn't get involved with an artist under your care. Yiji, don't get me wrong. I don't mean it that way. I don't need you to give me any resources or whatsoever, and I also don't want you to break any unspoken rules for me. I'm very innocent, very pure. Although Shin Manju didn't say it out loud, Yuanwan understood what she meant. She didn't want to play with the unspoken rules and merely wanted to have sex with him. Very pure indeed. After saying her piece, Shin Manju took a deep breath and stood up slowly. Then she placed her hands on the sash of her coat. Director Yi, when Yuanwan saw this, she furrowed her brows and suddenly had a bad feeling. All she saw in the next second was Shin Manju pulling her sash and opening her coat. Shin Manju wasn't wearing anything inside, just very sexy, provocative lingerie. Yuanwan. It was as if Yuanwan had a tsunami in her brain all of a sudden. Damn, aren't you a bit too forward, huh? She was so reserved in the day, but at night, she suddenly transformed. Why is she so bold and unrestrained all of a sudden? What happened exactly? Despite how calm and collected Yuanwan was, she was completely flabbergasted and began coughing violently. Just as Yuanwan's brain was buzzing from the shock, there was a click at the door at the front door. There was the sound of the door unlocking, then came a pair of familiar footsteps. Shit, I'm dead. There was only one person who would come over at this hour who had keys to her apartment. When Yu Wanwan finally regained her senses, it was too late. Si Han had already made his way in and seen the situation in the living room. Yu Wanwan. But the second Si Han saw the scene, his eyes constricted instantly and his face turned ugly. And Yu Wanwan picked up the blanket next to her and threw it over Shun Manju at the fastest speed in her life. After that, she charged towards Si Han like an arrow and covered his eyes with her hands. Close your eyes. At this moment, Shin Manju realized someone had entered the house and she screamed in terror. The living room was in complete chaos. Bloody hell, what's going on here? Yi Wanwan was tense. She stared at Si Han and didn't allow him to open his eyes while speaking to Shin Manju. Manju, put your clothes on properly and leave right now. This is my friend, and he won't say a word about this. Shin Manju was shy and embarrassed at the same time, but still remembered Gong Su's advice. Director Yi, I really like you. Hey, please stop talking, I'm begging you. Fortunately, Shin Manju was apprehensive since there was someone else in the room and didn't speak anymore. She got dressed and left swiftly. Shin Manju finally left. Yi Wanwan almost collapsed. There were layers of cold sweat on her back. A few seconds later, Yi Wanwan lifted her eyes and saw Si Han still standing near the door with his eyes tightly shut. When Yi Wanwan thought about what Si Han might have seen just now, she wasn't even afraid of him anymore, but was furious instead. Hence, she stomped towards him. Yi Han, how could you simply have come in without knocking? Even if you have the keys, you should at least knock first. You saw it, didn't you? You must have seen it. How much did you see? Ugh, I'm so mad. Chapter 728. You were all I saw. Si Han opened his eyes. You're not allowed to open your eyes. I'm still mad. Yi Wanwan immediately yelled. Actually, although Yi Wanwan was just being paranoid, she still felt somewhat uncomfortable when she thought about what Si Han might have seen. Si Han closed his eyes once again and said expressionlessly, "Put those dirty thoughts away. I didn't see anything." Yi Wanwan pouted. Liar. You obviously saw it. If he didn't see anything, why did he look so terrifying just now? He's obviously lying while looking straight at me. Oh, wrong. His eyes are shut. The way Si Han stood there with his eyes shut really caused her to be lost in wild thoughts. Yi Wanwan was entertaining the ridiculous thoughts in her head. After some time, Si Han suddenly spoke up. I didn't. You were all I saw. Actually, he should be the mad one since he saw a woman at Yi Wanwan's house in this manner at this hour. In the end, this girl turned the tables and accused him first. Also, that nervous little face immediately made all his anger dissipate. This was the very first time she was jealous. Even when he knew this might be her tactic of getting out of trouble and he wasn't sure if she was just pretending to be angry, his heart couldn't help but feel moved by her. Hearing that, Yi Wanwan was shocked. Whoa, you actually used some words of endearment. I can't see anybody else except you? What an accomplishment. All right then, since it's the first time Si Han said something so direct and sweet, I'll give him some face. Yi Wanwan was about to act gracious and forgiving, but in the next second, she saw Si Han opening his eyes. His cold and threatening gaze landed on her face. So, explain. Yi Wanwan looked at the great devil who had suddenly turned hostile and started his interrogation. Really? I can only be moved for less than a second. Yi Wanwan didn't dare to move at all as she stood there, struggling. Baby, you won't get jealous even with women, right? Si Han's expression already gave the answer to her question. There's nothing he wouldn't be jealous of. Yi Wanwan tried to reason things out with him. You can't blame me for this. I swear I've already rejected her today, and I don't know why she changed tactics all of a sudden. Anyway, I don't have that function. What can I do with her even if she seduced me? Also, because you were rude and didn't know, you saw another woman's body. I'm mad about this, so we're even, okay? Hearing Yi Wanwan saying that she was also mad, Si Han's face turned gentler. Sweeping his eyes across the scattered documents all over the living room, he asked, "We'll be setting off the day after tomorrow. Are you ready?" Yi Wanwan coughed lightly. More or less." Si Han took a seat on the sofa, then picked up a technical book. Finished reading. He looked as if he wanted to cram everything into her head. Yi Wanwan gave a look of pain and anguish. Not yet. I've been reading these things every single day and my head is about to explode soon. I only want to look at you right now." Alas, that didn't work on Si Han at all. He said, "Come here." Yi Wanwan hurriedly promised him, "Darling, don't worry. Since I dared to snatch this task away from Qin Ruoshi, I won't let you down. I'll make sure I'll do a perfect job." Chapter 729. Great at acting. Actually, she couldn't really blame Si Han for being so paranoid about her. In her previous life, Si Han tried many times to pave a way for her, but she messed up each chance. However, this time, she would not make the same mistakes. The next day, in the C Corporation conference room, Si Han sat on the main seat in the middle. On his left was Yi Wanwan, dressed in a champagne-colored professional outfit. Si Han held her hand and guided her for so long. This was the first time he officially brought her into the company as his personal assistant. She was in a position where she could intervene with the affairs of any department, familiarize herself with the company in the shortest time, and build her network. "Good morning, everyone. Please give me your guidance in the days to come." Yi Wanwan stood up gracefully and gave a simple greeting. As Si Han was sitting right there, it didn't matter what those people were thinking. There were warm and welcoming smiles on everybody's faces, and of course, Qin Ruoshi was the first who stood up and applauded. "As Chairman Si's health is not suitable for long-distance travel, I will be going on the Myanmar trip on his behalf," Yi Wanwan said. At first, Qin Ruoshi was confirmed as the one going on this trip, but her role was snatched away by Yi Wanwan. Qin Ruoshi acted like she didn't hold the slightest grudge and said calmly, "For the procurement of jade on this trip, I have prepared quite a bit and done some market research as well. Assistant Yi, if there is anything you are unclear about, you can approach me for assistance anytime." What she said was simply reminding everybody that Yi Wanwan was taking credit for her work. Qin Ruoshi obviously acting, so Yi Wanwan played along. Yi Wanwan pretended like she didn't sense anything and said innocently, "Haha, thank you, Director Qin. I won't act overly polite then." The higher-ups who supported Qin Ruoshi almost couldn't contain their anger anymore seeing how arrogant Yi Wanwan was. But just one look from Si Han made all of them shake like quails. They didn't dare to even let out a fart and could only shake their heads in unison. Yi Wanwan looked coldly at them from the sidelines and suddenly felt that it was quite challenging to be in the position of these higher-ups. Not only did they have to be professional in their work, but they also needed to be great at acting. Si Han. Meeting adjourned. "Assistant Yi, come to my office." "Yes." Yi Wanwan put on a bitter face and followed behind the cold and rigid figure. He's definitely going to nag at me again. Why does he have to worry so much? He already nagged at me the entire night yesterday, but he's still not giving me a break now. During the meeting just now, nobody dared to say a word. But once they were dismissed, everything they wanted to say came out. Director Qin was simply forced aside just like that by that vixen? Just look at the way she acts. Any man would fall for it, including our boss. Even if boss likes her, he didn't have to be so biased, right? Director Qin was supposed to be the one going on the Myanmar trip, but the vixen just came in and snatched someone's job away. Director Qin grew up with boss, so obviously Yi Wanwan would want to oppose her. Tisk. Late at night, Qin residence. In the yard, there was a low vintage coffee table and a cushion next to it. Qin Ruoshi was kneeling on the cushion making some tea. Seeing how unmoving Qin Ruoshi was, a certain someone couldn't contain his anger. "Miss Ruoshi, that woman is stretching her arm longer and longer. She even started to meddle with the company's affairs now and snatched the job from your hands on purpose. This is too much." Yuan Sheng's face darkened. "Miss Ruoshi, I've already checked that the woman doesn't know a thing about precious stones, yet she dared to boast and volunteered for the job shamelessly. We have to play some tricks to cause her to mess things up. When the time comes, Chapter 730. You'll be satisfied for sure, Qin Ruo. She looked at him plainly and ordered him. You're not allowed to do anything. Yuan Shang panicked when he heard her. She's already bullying you and pushing you to your limit. Are you just going to continue taking it? Watching 11 and Feng Xianyi benefiting by following Yuan Wan and seeing Qin Ruo Shi's interest getting affected as a result, he was obviously in a panic. Before Qin Ruo Shi could say anything, Shueli, who was next to them, had a look of disdain and exclaimed, HNG, stupid. Miss Ruo Shi already prepared a lot for the procurement of jade in Myanmar this time. Even if that woman successfully clinches the deal, credit should go to Miss Ruo Shi. What will it have to do with her? The people in the company aren't fools. Shouldn't they know better? When Yuan Shang heard that, his expression turned much gentler and he mumbled, that makes sense. This woman took credit for Miss Ruo Shi's efforts. It'll only make others dislike her more. A hint of light flashed in Shueli's eyes. When the time comes, we can simply use this incident to make her lose all favor with everyone. Qin Ruo Shi took a sip of tea before she said, You're going to accompany her for this trip? You know what to do, right? Shueli replied swiftly, Miss Ruo Shi, don't worry. You'll be satisfied for sure. In the blink of an eye, it was the day of the trip. At the enormous airport, Yuan Wan, Feng Xianyi, and a group of people were waiting for their flight. For this Myanmar trip, aside from Shueli and the group of jade experts, Feng Xianyi, 11 and over 10 members from the Dark Team were going as well. As the schedule for this trip was quite rushed and scheduled at the last minute, Yuan Wan and the others didn't have time to charter a flight. After waiting for about half an hour, Yuan Wan and the others boarded the plane bound for Myanmar. Aside from Yuan Wan and her entourage, there was also a middle-aged couple and a little boy around the age of 11 or 12 on board. It would take about 5 hours to travel from Imperial City to Myanmar. After Yuan Wan took a seat on the plane, she looked out the window as the engines roared and the plane took off. All she saw was the vast sky as lethargy slowly overwhelmed her. She shut her eyes, and in that moment of darkness, memories from her previous life surfaced in her head. In her previous life, Si Han didn't go on this Myanmar trip due to his weakening body as well. Instead, Qin Ruo Shi went on his behalf. Qin Ruo Shi was very well versed in the investment of precious stones. Plus, she went to Myanmar on Si Han's behalf to invest in precious stones. So in her previous life, Qin Ruo Shi did a lot of research on the market prices of precious stones in Myanmar before she set off. It could be said that before Qin Ruo Shi set off on the Myanmar trip, she was filled with confidence, but nobody expected that. There were some fluctuations in the precious stone market in Myanmar, and although Qin Ruo Shi made ample preparations, she still ended up with losses. Yuan Wan couldn't really recall the specific details of what happened. In her previous life, even though she followed Qin Ruo Shi and the others to Myanmar, they didn't allow her to meddle with the precious stone investments at all. On most days, they only let her follow them around and never allowed her to participate in any important company issues. One could say that, when Yuan Wan went to Myanmar in her previous life, she was just a useless decoration. Qin Ruo Shi and the others didn't care about her presence at all. Although that was the case, Yuan Wan followed them around the whole trip, so as far as this present trip was concerned, she felt quite calm and confident about it. Chapter 731. Little Brat. Although Yuan Wan didn't know much about investing in precious stones, there was gambling involved. As long as gambling was associated with it, there must be some luck involved. As they were gambling with precious stones, it didn't matter how skillful or experienced one was. He or she would not be able to be certain of making a profit. Otherwise, investments in precious stones would have vanished 100 years ago, and there would be plenty of wealthy people everywhere on Earth, right? Memories from Yuan Wan's previous life flashed in her mind. She slowly opened her eyes and watched as the white clouds floated by. Then she took out a book regarding investments in precious stones from her bag, about to obediently listen to Si Han's nagging to build her foundation of gambling with precious stones. But she only managed to read 3 to 4 pages before A hand suddenly appeared on top of her book and yanked it out of her grasp. Yuanwan was taken aback and lifted her head instinctively. Then she saw. The one who snatched her book away was the 12-year-old boy. The little boy didn't look guilty at all. He took the book and swaggered back to his seat. Yuanwan looked at the little boy as she said, "Little friend, could you please return the book to me?" "Why should I?" The little boy turned around and glared at Yuanwan apathetically. Yuanwan was somewhat speechless by this little boy's glare. She had already read many rumors regarding little brats on Weibo and didn't expect to actually meet a living one today. She already discussed having children with Si Han, so nobody could really blame her for not being exceptionally fond of those creatures. He brazenly took away a stranger's book, yet he wasn't the least bit apologetic and even thought he was doing the right thing. In addition, the middle-aged couple seated at the side paid no attention to the boy's conduct. They didn't do anything to stop him and didn't bother explaining or apologizing to Yuanwan either. "Are you his guardians?" Yuanwan frowned and looked at the middle-aged couple. "What is it?" The middle-aged lady with a slightly plump figure, slitted eyes, and light eyebrows looked at Yuanwan, annoyed. "Your child took my book," Yuanwan said. Hearing that, the middle-aged woman pouted disdainfully, glanced at the book her brat had taken and said disapprovingly, "It's just a book and you're a grown-up? Why are you bickering with a child? Can't you let him take a look? Furthermore, can you even understand a word in this book?" What the middle-aged woman said caused Yuanwan to be completely speechless. Truly, a dragon breeds a dragon, a phoenix breeds a phoenix, and the son of a rat can dig a hole. Like begets like. A pair of bratty parents obviously raise a brat. Before Yuanwan could speak, 11 left his seat instantly. His face darkened, and he snatched the book from the boy's hands instantly. "How dare you snatch my book?" The little brat saw that the book was snatched away from him, and he exploded in fury. He lifted his feet almost out of instinct and was about to kick 11's thighs. 11 moved away slightly, and the little brat couldn't even touch his pants at all. 11's face darkened further. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the little brat coldly. Who brought up such an uncultured thing? Chapter 732. An atrocious encounter after being yelled at by 11. The little brat was stunned and wasn't apologetic at all. He turned around directly with an aggrieved face and pounced into the middle-aged woman's arms. "Mommy!" He yelled at me. "What are you doing?" Watching her son being bullied, the middle-aged woman didn't care who was in the wrong and stood up immediately. She shoved 11's left shoulder. "You're a grown man. How dare you bully a little kid? You son of a bitch." "What little kid? This child is over 10 years old. How is he a little kid? Push me once more and I'll beat you up." A cold light flashed in 11's eyes. Although he didn't ever hit women, this thing in front of him wasn't really considered a woman, right? If he had known this would happen, he would have chartered a private jet over, but Miss Wanwan was still establishing her place in the company and trying to gain favor, so she couldn't be too particular. Otherwise, it would cause some tongues to wag. "Hit me," the middle-aged woman screeched. "All of you big and bulky men actually want to beat up a helpless woman and child? Are you guys shameless or what? Come on, try hitting me, yeah? What despicable being are you, bullying a woman and a child?" The middle-aged man, who had been silent the whole time, suddenly stood up and waved his fist like he was about to punch 11. However, before his fist could reach 11, more than 10 dark team guards on the plane stood up. With over a dozen big and tall men standing up at once on the confined plane, it was simply eye-grabbing. In just a moment, the middle-aged man froze and over 10 pairs of eyes stared straight at him. It was as if he was sitting on pins and needles. The middle-aged man had his fist frozen in the air and failed to move at all. Their bickering attracted the attention of a flight attendant immediately. Seeing that there was a situation on the plane, the flight attendant rushed over and persuaded them to stop gently, putting an end to the fight. The infuriated and arrogant middle-aged couple didn't expect there would be so many people protecting Yuan and didn't dare to continue causing a ruckus. They took advantage of the flight attendant's persuasion, extracted themselves from the embarrassing situation, and returned to their seats. Darn it! We'll deal with these people once we arrive in Myanmar. The middle-aged man sat down but was still burning with rage. He swept his gaze across Yuan and the others and scoffed. These ignorant fools. How dare they provoke me? I'll make sure I put all of them to death. 11 couldn't be bothered to quarrel with this atrocious family. After he passed the book over to Yuan, he got the other guards to sit down. From beginning till end, Shueli and the group of experts hadn't said a single word and only watched coldly at this farce. Chapter 733. City of Gambling on Stones 11, and Shueli stepped forward to greet the person and seemed quite familiar with him. After they greeted one another, the guy in the black shirt smiled at Yuan and spoke very politely. Good afternoon, Miss Yi. My name is Ma Bing. I am Mr. Suyi's friend from Myanmar, and I was informed of Miss Ye's visit this time. So Mr. Suyi instructed me to pick you up. Hearing that, Yuan nodded. Before flying to Myanmar, Sui already informed her about this. This Ma Bing was very famous in City H. It was said that he worked for both the good and the bad sides and was quite experienced in gambling on precious stones. Myanmar's H City was known as the city for the gambling on precious stones. The exploding profits from gambling on precious stones had given this city its prosperity and buzz, but also caused disorder in the city. Security was very disorganized, and this city was a place where both dragons and snakes, existed. As the saying went, the mighty dragon is no match for the native serpent. If they relied on only 11, Feng Xianyi and the others, it wouldn't be adequate. After all, they weren't familiar with the place, which was why Sui called up Ma Bing beforehand. This Ma Bing was part of the local mafia bosses, so with him around, it would save them a great deal of inconvenience. Hello, Mr. Ma Bing. Sorry to trouble you. Yuan smiled. Miss Yi, don't say that. You're the mistress of the household, so it's my pleasure to be able to service Miss Yi. Furthermore, Sui and I are bosom buddies. If it weren't for Sui that one time, I would have starved to death on the streets of Myanmar. Ma Bing chuckled. Yuan and the others followed Ma Bing and strode out of the airport. On the way out, Yuan asked Ma Bing about the situation in H City regarding the appraisal of precious stones. Ma Bing naturally answered her frankly. Myanmar's H City was known as the city of precious stones, but was also the place where the risk of appraising these stones was highest. It was unlike ordinary gambling on precious stones. In H City, they only gambled on jadeite, and the value of jadeite was very high right now. It had a huge international market, and with such massive profits, many people came to try their luck. In addition, the precious stones in H City were also the most valuable in the world. All the precious stones here were judged by their sizes, color, and luster. Ordinary precious stones in the country were valued at tens of thousands of yuan to thousands of yuan per caddy, while the better ones from Myanmar's H City could reach up to hundreds of thousands of yuan per caddy. So a rock weighing over 100 caddies would cost at least 10 million yuan. Once it was revealed to be an empty stone, there would be no return for one's hard-earned savings. In H City, there were many gamblers of precious stones who became wealthy or bankrupt overnight. Many of these speculators lost their family fortunes in gambling on precious stones. In order to find out whether the rocks were worth anything, the only way was to crack open the rocks, which also meant that the lives and possessions of speculators all depended on it. Miss Yi, this industry of the jade trade. You either get rich overnight or lose your entire life savings. Ma Bing took small quick steps and stepped in front of Yuan. As a matter of fact, just a few months ago, a company specializing in precious stone excavation from H City excavated a giant rock weighing 300 caddies. It was a superb grade with regards to its color, luster, and quality. The value rose to 400,000 yuan a caddy, and it was said that it might contain a jade of the highest quality. Not long after, a rich merchant brought along an expert in precious stones to appraise the rock and spent over 100 million to buy that huge rock. Miss Yi, can you guess what the outcome was? What was it? Yuan laughed and probed curiously. Actually, she already heard about this in her previous life when she came to Myanmar. Chapter 734. How dare you hit me? Ma Bing slapped his thigh immediately and said, the huge rock that weighed 300 caddies and cost more than 100 million was completely empty. Not a single piece of jade was inside. That rich merchant leaped off from the roof of a 30-story building that very day. That fall was Yuanwan felt very helpless about this as well. This was the case with gambling on precious stones. Even if one had an exceedingly specialized strategy, they couldn't determine whether profits would be made. Of course, that was a good thing for ordinary folks. In H City, there were many similar cases to that rich merchant. In her previous life, how much preparation did Qin Ruoshi do? Alas, Qin Ruoshi still returned home with nothing. If it wasn't for the strong capital the C family had, this massive loss would have caused utter despair and death if it happened to other rich businessmen. Ma Bing kept talking to Yuanwan about the events happening in H City and led them to the best hotel in the city. After ensuring that everything was settled, Ma Bing left. Yuanwan let Feng Xian 11, and the others rest for a day. When Yuanwan entered her hotel room, she unpacked her luggage and stood at the floor-to-ceiling window. She had some thoughts running in her mind as she looked at the heavy traffic beneath the tall building. In Myanmar's H City, aside from being relatively more developed in the jade trade, it was also much more chaotic. The northern part of Myanmar's H City was considered a sensitive area with quite a number of militants. In such a chaotic city, there were great opportunities. It could be described as having gold littered everywhere, but just one slightly careless mistake could cause you to be buried in this foreign land. With the coexistence of both danger and opportunities, many speculators found it to be a great place. However, this great place had many skeletons of people with lost fortunes buried inside. Bang! The loud noise pulled Yuanwan back to reality abruptly. In an instant, Yuanwan furrowed her brows and turned towards the source of the noise. The originally strong and big door of the room was now shattered to pieces. Bang! In just a few blinks of the eye, the entire door of the hotel room was smashed open by someone. The second the door shattered, 34 youths charged into Yuanwan's room. These youths were hooligans. They had knives and clubs in their hands, and leading the group was the middle-aged couple from the plane. "It's this bitch," the middle-aged woman yelled and pointed at Yuanwan the moment she saw her by the window. The middle-aged woman then charged forward ferociously. She raised her arm and directly waved it towards Yuanwan. Pow! But the moment that woman's arm moved downwards, Yuanwan remained calm and gripped that middle-aged woman by her wrist. The middle-aged woman slap froze in midair. "How dare you retaliate?" The middle-aged woman glared at Yuanwan aggressively. "Do you realize your mother will kill you today?" Hearing that, a cold light flashed in Yuanwan's eyes as she lifted her hand and gave the middle-aged woman a tight slap. The sound of that slap was crisp and clear as it echoed throughout the suite. A fresh red mark of 5 fingers instantly appeared on the middle-aged woman's cheek. "How dare you hit me?" The middle-aged woman was stunned by Yuanwan's slap, shocked in disbelief. "With parents like the two of you, it was no wonder you raised a child like this," Yuanwan said indifferently. "You bloody bitch," the middle-aged woman bellowed. Following that, Yuanwan gave the middle-aged woman another slap. Nobody expected that this seemingly frail woman before them would actually be so daring to slap that woman twice. The people who came with the middle-aged woman were somewhat astonished. Chapter 735. A surprising outcome hit her to death. The middle-aged man was the first one to regain his senses, and he yelled immediately. Hearing that command, dozens of youth charged forward and surrounded Yuanwan. Yuanwan looked coldly at the people around her without any fluctuations in her gaze. "Kill her!" The middle-aged woman covered her swollen cheek and screamed. "This woman actually dared to hit me." At that moment, those devils and monsters tried to charge towards Yuanwan. However, before they could lay their hands on her, dozens of figures suddenly charged into the room. 11. Feng Xianyi and over 10 dark team guards rushed into the room and looked at the people surrounding Yuanwan. 11's face turned gloomy. His room was right next to Yuanwan's, and when he heard a commotion earlier, he felt something wasn't right. so he brought his men and rushed over instantly. However, he didn't expect that it would be that atrocious couple from the plane with an entourage this time. 11 roared, "Are you guys courting death?" The middle-aged man saw the people who rushed into the room and was completely fearless. Instead, he chuckled, "Courting death? I think all of you garbage are the ones courting death. This is Myanmar's H city. It's my territory. Who do you think you are? If you're a dragon, you have to bow down to me. If you're a tiger, you have to lie down for me." The young men brought over by the middle-aged man looked at 11 and the others and scoffed at them. This group of foolish foreigners still had no idea who this middle-aged man was. He was said to be the spy that housekeeper Sue from the C family in countries he planted in Myanmar H city. He held quite a bit of power in H city. This group of foreigners was really unlucky. Of all people, they chose to provoke this middle-aged man. Weren't they the ones courting death? Huh? 11 narrowed his eyes. He looked at the arrogant middle-aged man and his expression darkened. Beat them up. 11 disregarded everything as he brought the dark team guards forward and charged towards the other group. These dark team guards underwent training while those young gangsters were merely a mob. They were completely unable to hold back the dark team guards at all. Before half a minute was up, those young gangsters were all on the ground and howling in agony. There was no way they still had the slightest bit of arrogance now. Seeing the dozens of people knocked down in the blink of an eye, the joyful smiles on the middle-aged couple's faces immediately froze and cracked. They're all trained? The middle-aged man was in a daze. Each one of their enemies was highly skilled while they brought a bunch of young gangsters. They were completely pressed to the ground with a finger and weren't able to fight back at all, much less rebel. At that moment, the middle-aged woman screamed at them with her high-pitched voice. "You guys are blind. We belong to the C family from Country Z. Come and touch us if you dare." The moment that woman's voice resounded, 11 and the others were flabbergasted. Country Z? C family? The middle-aged woman thought the C family's name had subdued 11 and the others. She immediately raised her chin towards the middle-aged man delightfully. The middle-aged man recovered the arrogance he had before and sneered at 11. "I don't care who you guys are. As long as you've offended me, there will be no good fortune for any of you." However, 11 and the others looked at this couple with an even more bizarre expression. Yi Wanwan was also surprised by the name the other party announced. Chapter 736. Mistress of the household. However, before 11 and the others could speak, Ma Bing returned once again. The second Ma Bing stepped into the hotel room. He saw the ground littered with little boys who were beaten up and his face darkened. He then raised his head and his face turned gloomier as he looked at the middle-aged couple who were gloating and feeling victorious. "Zhou Can, my boy, you're remarkable. Such a big troop you got there." Ma Bing turned to the middle-aged man and sneered. When the middle-aged couple saw Ma Bing, they were taken aback. The triumphant looks on their faces immediately disappeared into thin air. This Ma Bing possessed great power in H City and was even a buddy of their boss, Sui. But why's this Ma Bing showing up here? Could it be that Ma Bing had some connection with these people? "Oh, Zhouji." The middle-aged man didn't have time to think as he smiled and quickly stepped forward, taking out a cigarette from his pocket. "Haha." Ma Bing sneered as he watched the middle-aged man bringing the cigarette over, and he shook his head sarcastically. "Unacceptable, unacceptable. Old pal, your reputation is too high now. I wouldn't dare to accept your cigarette." "Ma Ji, what are you talking about? Is there some misunderstanding here? Do you know these people?" Seeing how Ma Bing was acting, the middle-aged man knew something was wrong. Although he didn't have much interactions with Ma Bing in the past, he met him a few times before and Ma Bing never treated him with such attitude. "Aren't you working for Sui? Then, don't you know who this lady is?" Ma Bing scoffed. "Ah, this is." The middle-aged man's heart thumped violently. He stared straight at Yi Wanwan with a hint of doubt and anxiety. "Old pal Zhou, you should know what sort of guy your boss Sui is, right?" Ma Bing gave the middle-aged man side-eye. I do. Boss Su is someone from the C family in Country Z. How could I not know?" The middle-aged man replied carefully. "Since you know this, What on earth are you doing now? Ma Bing sneered, then looked at Yuan Wan and said to the middle-aged man, "This lady before you is the Si family's mistress of the household." What? The middle-aged man was flabbergasted and stood rooted to the ground. After he returned to his senses, he stared at the indifferent and cold Yuan Wan before him, and his eyes constricted instantly. What did Ma Bing just say? This woman is the Si family's mistress of the household? At this moment, the middle-aged man went completely blank. He felt like the world was spinning around him, and his body went limp as he stumbled to the ground. If what Ma Bing said was true, and this woman was really the mistress of the household, then those people there were the Si family's dark team guards. No wonder each one of them was so skilled, and dozens of their gangsters were beaten to the ground within seconds without a chance of retaliating at all. All the middle-aged man felt was his cold sweat becoming colder against his skin. He couldn't figure out why the mistress of the Si family would come to Myanmar's H-City, and he didn't receive any calls from Sui beforehand. Furthermore, as the mistress of the household, even if she really came to Myanmar, she should have chartered a flight. Why would she be on the same plane as us? What mistress of the Si family? Ma Bing, why should we believe what you said? The middle-aged woman shrieked. Damn it! Ma Bing glared at her sternly and gave her a tight slap on the face immediately. This slap sent the middle-aged woman rolling on the ground. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.